to the High Queen podcast.
Prepare to embark on a journey through books you'll fall in love with, as well as the leading ladies who inspire our own stories.
Our friendship blossomed from pageantry to page turners, sparking a desire to show other women that they too are their own main character.
I'm Miranda.
And I'm Autumn.
And together we'll lead you through books of all genres, from epic fantasy series, romance, all levels of spice, even to autobiographies of real life heroines.
We are some passionate bitches, so remember this podcast is rated R and prepare your ears. It's time to celebrate the heroines who redefine what it means to be brave and bold.
So grab your books, beverage and bestie, and crack open your books. So first we're going to do Tower of Dawn, page 412. Crack it open there. And Empire of Storms, 485. And let's do a little check-in before we dive on into those.
Yay!
Before we can even get into this freaking book, we have two other freaking books to talk about.
Yes. Oh, yes. Okay, I'm going to hold on to my baby.
And I'm going to cut this and I'm going to throw this at the beginning of the next episode. So,
yes. All right. Yeah. Let's talk about the brand new ACOTAR news. Okay. I'm excited. We have titles. We have cover art. Descriptions. Y'all, we have been, I guess, chomping at the bit, starving. What do you want to call it?
Yeah.
All the things. Very
out.
excited. So I'm very thrilled that Sarah J. Maas is feeding us.
Thank you, Mother.
We all say thank you so much. Yes, thank you, Mother. With that being said, let's talk about these new drops. So coming on October 27th, I took the whole day off, which I do believe of the books that are releasing, this is going to be the smaller one. Okay,
yes.
so
yeah, this one's like 300 pages or something.
If I dedicate the whole day to it, I do nothing else. Maybe I finish it.
You could, yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. You finish it in one day. No, don't even bat an eye. You'll be so excited.
Now, that being said, it's called A Court of Splintered Harmony. And listen, if you're listening to this podcast, you've probably already seen this. You've seen the cover art.
Yeah.
If you haven't, you go look it up so you understand what I'm describing. But it's a really cool kind of like ombre fade from a bright pink to a pretty orange. Very much so giving ACOWAR into ACOSIF.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, a little bit of a fade, if you will. And the cover art, we've got bones down at the bottom, flames erupting from them, and within the flames, you can pick out like eyes, and you can pick out some fangs and some teeth. So, what I want to note here, there are no stones. Like, there's no bones and stones, like scrying. But there are a lot of bones.
There are a lot of bones.
There's theories. Now, do you have, Miranda, the description?
Description: romance, danger, and intrigue await you in the breathtaking 6th book in the #1 best-selling Court of Thorns and Roses series. What was broken will be remade. Deep in the heart of the continent, Koshie, the Deathless, is stirring. Though he's been bound to a mountain lake for millennia, the insidious threat of his return now spreads across the Fae territories, attracting powerful allies hell-bent on reclaiming what was once theirs, the human lands. The Night Court will not stand by idly while innocents are attacked, but with Prythian still piecing itself together in the wake of the devastating Hybern War, the task of uniting is proving more difficult by the day. To make matters worse, those who rule and protect the Night Court are reeling from recent betrayals and revealed truths, and the rifts dividing them seem insurmountable. To beat Koshie's creeping shadow, they must find a way back to each other and resurrect their former alliances. To survive, they must find a way to repair the splintered harmony all around them.
Now on the
What does
bottom,
it
I know.
mean?
I know. On the bottom of this, we do have, in addition, because remember, this next book is broken up into 4 parts, but it's all one collective story and thread. So finishing one movement or one part does not intend on you to feel like you finished a storyline. It's just how we're breaking the book up. Now, underneath the title, A Court of Splintered Harmony, it says A Valkyrie Cycle, Movement 1. Now, we already knew these were being broken up into movements, but now we have some interesting words there with the Valkyries, which is very exciting for my Nesta-loving soul. Okay. I hope I get to see her again. That would be lovely
I
for me.
know.
I have to be, again, careful how much I'm going to say right now when it comes to theories, when it comes to my thoughts on even Nesta, just alone that piece. Because as you're all listening to this, you are still going through Throne of Glass with us. And we do need to get all the way through Crescent City in order for me to be able to talk about any
We're so close, guys.
We're so
We're
close.
so
Yes.
close.
But it
We're
is
so close.
pivotal. A lot of people were questioning. They're like, okay, do I have to read Throne of Glass in order to prep myself for this? Listen, the story should be able to stand on its own. But if you want to like really get it and really understand what's happening in these books, the answer is yeah, you should. And if you don't have time to read them all, baby, just listen to our summaries,
Listen to
okay?
us.
You got it.
Because we give you the whole breakdown.
Yes. Now, Crescent City is pretty crucial. I'm not going to lie. It's the whole reason I can't even talk to you about some of my theories right now, because if you're listening to this, maybe you haven't read Crescent City yet, and I don't want to spoil anything, okay?
And those really, really
They're
connect
really
some little dotty
important.
dots.
Yeah. So
that's what I hear.
that being said, if you're like freaking out, you're looking at Crescent City books and you're like, my life's crazy. Maybe you're like a night nurse and you're like, there's no way. I have to sleep during the day. I'm working at night. I can't do this. Cool. Baby, hop in, listen to our summaries,
Listen to
okay?
us.
We got you. Between our world building and our summaries and character analysis, you're going to be able to be prepared, okay? Even if you can't fully read the books, which is so sad. I'm so sorry, but we got you. Now,
Yes.
that being said, there is another book coming.
We got it was a 2
Oh,
for 1
2 for
deal.
1.
It was a BOGO. Oh,
Mommy said, I know I've made you wait so long.
So here's both. We love her.
Okay, so the next book that's coming out, we already knew there was another one coming out and the date. So January 12th, whoa, sorry, January 12th, 2027. And I said that because that was my daughter's birthday. January 2nd. It just lives in my brain, on my tongue.
Would have been a great birthday present for a
I know.
5-year-old, 4-year-old.
Anywho, on January 12th, our next installment, movements 2 and 3, A Court of Forgotten Melody, will be coming out. And on the cover of this one,
Which is why I think you have to read Throne of Glass,
is what looks like a Stygian spider / Karen Quee with a weaving spider silk thimble thing going on.
Yeah.
Guys, it's and an 8-pointed star on its back.
Yeah.
If you didn't think you needed to read Throne of Glass, that right there was everyone's like, oh my God, we gotta do it. You do. I'm so sorry. I'm not sorry, actually, because it's fucking amazing and you're gonna love it. Yes. So, welcome to the SJM universe. Miranda, hit us with that description.
Now, this book's going to be 896 pages. She's going to be a thick one. We love it. The magic continues, and the stakes have never been higher in the stunning 7th book in the #1 best-selling Court of Thorns and Roses series. What was lost will be reclaimed. Prithian might never be the same again. Traditional alliances are crumbling, and no amount of diplomacy seems sufficient to repair them. With the continued threat of Koschei the Deathless on the horizon, a united front is crucial and farther out of reach than it ever has been before. Bonds will be tested, power will shift, and old enemies will emerge from nightmares of the past. As the Night Court's inner circle disperses far and wide, desperate for any advantage against Koshie and his mighty allies, peace hangs by a fragile thread. But hope can be spun from the darkest of shadows, and the Night Court has its own part to play in the looming crescendo.
Y'all. Okay, so here's the thing. There are so many theories. We could pick this apart. The internet already has, okay? We
Oh,
can pick
yeah.
apart those descriptions. We can pick apart the titles. We can pick apart the
The
integration of the Valkyrie
colors,
cycle, the colors, the pictures,
all the
everything we can
things.
pick apart and theorize with. And I think that that's very fun to do. I don't discourage it. Uh, Especially because some people like to look up double meanings. What's another word for Valkyrie? It's Death Maiden, in case you were wondering. And guess what? Miranda and I happen to be finishing the last book in this series. And that
And you will be
word
there
might be
so
in there.
soon.
It might be in there. I'm not going to tell you where or how, but you might read about it. Now, that being said, look at these potential crossovers. Potential being an important word. Because I would
Yes.
hate for any of us to be disappointed if we don't see a specific character that in our mind we're like, "Oh, we're going to get to see him." You might not. Maybe you just see a creature. Maybe you just get a reference point.
Mhm.
We have no idea. And my fear with all of the theories has always been if we build up our hopes and our dreams and our grand plans for what this book will be, instead of appreciating what we're actually given, we may find ourselves disappointed. And
Yep.
after waiting so long for something, what a terrible moment to feel disappointed in something you've waited so long for just because it didn't live up to the expectations you thought you were going to have in your head, what you were going to get.
Don't set
So,
limitations on something you have no idea what it's going to be. And we
yes.
have no reason to believe that what Sarah J. Maas will give us will not be phenomenal
Oh,
in
yeah.
whatever way, shape, or form she plans to give it to us. Like,
Mhm.
would it be incredible to see the crossovers of the centuries and to have all of the things be perfectly aligned and whatever? She has a plan, and whatever that plan is, it's going to be glorious. It's
Yeah.
going to be incredible. So yeah,
Yes.
just enjoy it for what it is. Just hop on the ride. Just enjoy what she gives us because you know what we're getting it. It's happening.
Yes.
It's
Now,
happening.
I do, at some point before the book's release, want to talk about some of my favorite theories for fun. I don't necessarily want to do that today, but, because we got a whole long episode for you to listen to here. But I do, at some point, want to talk about my favorite theories. That would be super fun to see. However, none of those mean that if they don't happen, I'm not going to enjoy what I'm being given. But that is how I approach most things in my life, just simply because I want to feel joy from experiences. And,
Stranger
even
Things
going in,
finale.
yeah, right. Even going into the books we're reading right now, Pinterest had like set up these ideas in my head of what the ending was going to be. And really, it was a
Mm.
fan theory ending, a future
Oh.
after the books are all ended. And so in my head, I
Mm.
read the last book waiting for those moments to appear. Like, where
And
are
you're
they?
like, where are they?
They didn't
Mm.
happen. That's the
Yeah.
end. And so, hear me out. I finished Kingdom of Ash the first time feeling disappointed.
Oh, I hate
I
that for
know, I
you.
know, but it's because I had this anticipation in my mind of like,
Yeah.
where are those moments I'm gonna see? And I didn't see
Mm-hmm.
them because they were never fucking real.
Yeah,
They were
because
never
somebody
part of the
created
story. They
them.
were just fan shit. And listen, I love a good fan theory. I love a good head canon. But I'm bringing this up as an important reminder for all of us that when it comes to the fun theories, you've got to eliminate them from your mind and enjoy the story for what it is as you're reading it. And the second time I read Kingdom of Ash, wow. Well, y'all are going to find out my reaction as you continue to listen to our episodes. But I will tell you, far, far from disappointed.
Mm,
And I'm so
so
glad I
good.
read it again.
So this is being inserted at the end of our tandem read, Tower of Dawn, Empire of Storms. Thank you for letting us rant and rave about
Yes.
6 and 7 coming out. We're gonna have so many more thoughts and things and whatever. But we are going to let you guys finish this episode, and we're gonna pop back to the future and finish our episode there. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Have fun. Okay, my check-in. T minus 4 weeks until I'm in Palm Beach for Miss America. Okay.
So
For those
fun.
of you who are like, I don't know, you're like, wait, hang on, you're going to compete in Miss America? No. I did that. I did do
We've
that
done our time.
a solid decade ago. But no, I'm just going to watch, to cheer on the people that I'm helping prepare. And I'm really excited, low key, because it's a teensy weensy bit of a vacation for me.
Mm-hmm.
Which, you know, for the amount I spend on a hotel room, I should treat it as such.
Yes.
So I am excited about that. I'm looking forward to the trip. My husband's going to join me for part of it, which will be
Fun.
nice. Yeah, he'll get some time away too. My daughter is starting pre-K next week. I'm a little emo about it. It's literally in the same building that she already goes to daycare, and it's just in a different room.
But it's
But it's just
different.
the idea of like, oh my
Oh.
gosh, I used to be a teacher. I used to be a music teacher, and I taught pre-K through fifth grade. And to think like my daughter is old enough to be one of the students I taught is
Oh, she's getting
wild.
so big.
Sending me for a mind fuck. I don't know what to do about it. I got an
Oh.
aura ring. I caved. I bought
Hmm.
it. Did I need it? I don't know. I was having FOMO for myself. Here's what
I
I've
feel
learned.
that.
I've learned that um I sometimes work out a lot. Wait, didn't I know that already? Yes, I learned that sometimes my sleep sucks. Wait, didn't I know that already? Yes. But
Mm.
now I have an app to tell me.
And a couple $100 ring. I know. I
No, no,
contemplate getting one
it actually
often.
is nice. Like I giggle about it because those were the things I kept telling myself to be like, you don't need to buy it.
Yeah.
But then I did. So Aura, sponsor me, mostly because I was hesitant to buy your product and I did anyways, and I do really love it.
And she'll probably influence me to get one eventually because
Look at
I'm
that.
also on that like teeter of like, do I need it? I kind of want to get it.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah. But
We'll
that's my
see.
check-in.
Nice. Yeah. Summer break part 2 has started for me
Mm.
because I just finished summer class. So that's good. I get like 2 weeks off, 2.5 weeks off. So excited to, I don't know, get some not screen time, even though I'll continue to get screen time because all I'm going to do is read, but better screen time. Screen time I want.
Yeah.
I'm going to my 10-year class reunion in a couple of days, which is
Whoa.
wild.
I didn't go to
That's going to
mine.
be a time. I
If any of my old classmates listen to this, which
you're like,
that would
hey.
be a surprise to me, a happy surprise. But if you do, yeah, I didn't go. It's not because I think I'm better than anybody. It's because that's a long way to travel for people that I still keep up with on Instagram.
It's only a
I don't know.
2-hour drive for me.
Yeah,
So
that's better. Here's what's really sorry, I took over your check-in. I was the senior class president. I think I was supposed to plan it.
you were. That's why I
Oh,
wasn't senior class
oh,
president. I was student body president.
nobody told me that when I volunteered for the job. Okay.
Yeah.
They weren't like, hey, you're going to have a commitment for the
For the
rest of your
rest of
life.
your life.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
what? Yeah. But I'm glad you're going. That should be fun.
Yeah. It's a 2-hour drive. Our county fair is at the same time. I'm going to go down and volunteer with
Cool.
our hometown fire department. And just do a couple of things before my local competition down there, which is the next week. So it's like
Nice.
a 2-for-1. I'm going to do lots of things in like a quick 24 hours, but it'll be
You're incredible.
good. Thanks. So are you. We all do what we do.
Look at us go. Well, speaking of incredible, this tandem read.
Mm.
And I think it's time for us to talk about our initial impressions. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm shattered. That's how I leave this book. I'm fucking shattered. I don't cry often when I read books, but I did send Miranda a little selfie of my teary ass.
And I was like, oh God, if she's crying, I'm gonna really cry.
Yeah, damn. I was actually a mess, and I sat in my office in this seat to finish the last few chapters, and I'm just sitting in here silently sobbing. And then something else would happen and it restarted. And I was like, "Oh my gosh." So many powerful moments. And I will say I really think the tandem read is worth it for me. I know we texted mildly about this, but I cannot imagine getting Empire of Storms in 2016, then waiting a year for Tower of Dawn to then figure out the alignment of events as you're going through it, and then waiting another year till 2018 to get Kingdom of Ash.
And like my Kindle literally at the end says, this will be continued in 2018, which is wild. A decade almost ago. But
I know.
that would have.
Can you imagine waiting? Oh my gosh. I mean, I guess that's kind of how we all feel a little bit when it comes to the current ACOTAR series. We've been waiting for 5+ years for this next book, right? However, Silver Flames doesn't end on a massive cliffhanger that makes you sob. You know? Or a battle that's yet to be finished. Because we've kind of finished the battles. We know there's maybe some more to be had, but like we're at a good stopping point.
Yes.
That is not the case with these. So for those of who read them in real time, my heart goes out to you because I didn't have to wait. And I don't know how you coped during that time. Spent a long time in a box, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So one, same feelings. Todd, TOD, Tower of Dawn is important and wonderful, right? But I just wanted to read Empire of Storms and never stop. And so I can't imagine having to have gone from that then to Tower of Dawn, even though it's wonderful, right? Like Nesryn and Sartaq's adventures, like really sold me this book. And like Kayla and Yrene's love story is just wonderful. And the last 100 pages, right? Like she always brings it back, always brings it together. It's spectacular. But Empire of Storms is just devastating. And before we dive into all of that devastation, I just want to say point number 2, I knew Maeve was fucking bad. Bad.
Yeah.
And I accidentally read too far in Tower of Dawn, which didn't
I did that all the time. I was like,
constantly
fuck.
was like, I'm out of order. Oh shit. But thankfully I wasn't like messing anything up too bad or anything. But I read that and then we come back to Empire of Storms and we see Maeve and I was like, oh, they don't even know what you really are. And I do.
Yep. Epic. Absolutely.
Devastating.
Well, should we dive in?
You got it, dude. You first.
Here we go, y'all. Strap in, lock in, or skip ahead if you don't want to hear our summary, if you just want to go to our character section. But here we go. Here's the story. We're starting with Tower of Dawn, chapters 36 through 37. One moment. I'm going to zoom in because this writing's real tiny. It's real tiny.
It's because these summaries and these episodes are like 700 pages, guys, because we read so much. Gotta keep the text small.
Right? Okay. So Tower of Dawn, chapters 36 through 37. Chaol's treatment is working. He has regained movement up to his knee and is slowly building back any muscle that was lost. He is still teaching Yrene and the other acolytes new defensive and attacking moves. And meanwhile, Nesryn and Sartaq are due back the next day, making Yrene kind of filled with dread that her time with Chaol is making its way towards its end, or at least her time with Chaol emotionally. Now,
Alone.
yes, well, nothing has happened between them intimately. Their friendship has been building these weeks. It is Chaol that tells everyone that Nesryn and Sartaq are extending their time away. And at dinner, with the royal family, Chaol has to come to Aelin's defense and try to settle the concerns that they have about the rumors being spread that she's out there conquering lands. There doesn't seem to be much progress on these fronts, and Caution is the one royal that is perhaps doing a better job that Chaol's doing a better job at convincing. But to be fair, he was kind of already leaning that way anyways.
Yeah.
So now he visits him to tell him about the fire lances that have been purchased by Rolf and Aelin. And Caution knows that he wants to be on the right side of history. And it seems like Chaol might have an idea. So Nesryn and Sartaq have been spending their days going to each Rook clan and tending to them, training so that they can shoot arrows from the sky atop the Rookin, which, by the way, is so fucking awesome to think about. They're going to hit at specific targets down below. And as they grow closer over a campfire, they share stories, and Nesryn shares her love of singing with everyone, which is such a unique character moment. How beautiful. Now, they search 2 more watchtowers, but of yet, they have not found any information. Their first 3 weeks have gone by, and she sent a letter to Chaol to ask for 3 more weeks. And as Sartaq tells her, a great deal can happen in 3 weeks. Now, everyone in the clan is pushing Nesryn to ride a lonely Rook, with the hopes that maybe they'll bond, and even though she tries to fight the pull towards the animal, a lot of people want her to do it. Now, Sartaq, Nesryn, Borte, and Falcon go to search the remains of another watchtower and run into another clan of Rook riders who warned them about more hatchlings being taken from the area. This must mean that they're getting closer to some more of those Karen Quee spiders and more answers.
Bum, bum, bum. Empire of Storms, chapter 52. So we open with Lorcan and Elide as they're still sailing down the river, and he's kind of feeling Hellas's push for them to avoid the cities and just go straight toward the stone marshes. I wonder why. Now, as they come upon it, Elide whispers, "This is a bad place. We shouldn't be here." And despite both of their hesitations, they must continue on. What else are they going to do? They spend 4 days wandering through this place and avoiding some super fun creatures. And later, our pair stop for the night and get a little intimate. They lay by each other, and Elide traces Lorcan's mouth and cheek with her fingers, and she goes, "I would hide you in Parent. If you do what you need to do and need somewhere to go, we would have a place there with me." And then she kisses him, and he kisses her back. And just as they're about to take it a little bit further, the wet blanket that is the Valg appears as a storm of Ilkin. Super great. That begins to spread across the skies. So put your pants back on. It's time to run.
Absolutely. Well, running over to Tower of Dawn chapters 38 through 40, Chaol is ready to play the game of politics as he goes to see the Coggin and his vizier to purchase more fire lances with Aelin's treasure. Now, while that task does go to plan, the Coggin still won't hear him out. Then later, during his healing session with Yrene, they get into an argument, and she sort of provokes it, to be fair. She sees he's pissed and she's going to heal him only for him to go off and die. Well, she's not wrong. I mean, that is kind of what happens in war. Now, he's pissed at failing this task of getting the Coggin on his side, and also that he's been restraining himself around her for so long. They both have a lot of pent up emotions, and they say some extremely hurtful things to one another. And within that process and the heightened emotions, he stands for the first time. But his words cut too deep, and Yrene goes to leave. Chaol watches as once again he's about to lose something extremely important to him, and he won't let it happen this time, and he finally takes a step. Okay, so then just one more step, then another step, before finally they reach each other, and then he kisses her. She and he are both elated to finally be in this moment. And they continue to kiss and make out before his body is literally trembling with the strain of keeping him upright. Reality sets in, like, you should probably sit your ass down. But he says to her, will it be the bed or the couch, Yrene? Oh, Chaol. Okay, those devilish little words. Now, a servant returns and breaks the tension or their ability to do anything else. And so the healing process continues. Now, over time, there's still this one stubborn little part at the base of his spine that won't release, preventing him from jumping or running. But he does not have to be in the chair anymore, which is nice. He's advanced to being able to train with a sword and a cane. And also, Irene's birthday is coming up, and she is using it as a way to coordinate a desert party right where those old Fae caves are supposed to be.
Smart girl. Speaking of smart girls, we are back in the Stone Marshes, chapter 53, this time in Aelin's POV. So they've been walking for 2 days. Rowan says he found where Mala's lock is, and it reminds him of the Sin Eater's temple that we went to down below Rifthold. It's so fun. So they stop for the night to sort of relax and recharge. But of course, neither of those things can happen when you have two Fae males that are prophesizing and telling you to leave. So they look at Rowan and they go, your beloved's life and the witches are intertwined. They have been led here by forces even we cannot understand. Cool. Maeve has been waiting, Rowan, since Brannon, for someone who would lead her to the keys for your Aelin. I'd bet every bit of gold I have that she's going to let Aelin nearly break herself destroying Erewhon, then strike when she's weakest. And then this heartbreak. I'm glad, Fenris said, that I got this time. That Maeve unintentionally gave me that I got to know what it was like to be here as a part of this. And then Gavriel nods his head and he stares down at his sleeping son.
Tower of Dawn. Oh God, how are we going to make it to the end? Okay. Tower of Dawn, chapters 41 and 42. After searching maps, Nesryn and Sartaq discover that the spider's territory has grown, and they'll have to go into the heart of it to find the answers that they seek. Borte has been instructed that she can't join them on this mission, so the plan is as follows. Nesryn, Sartaq on Kadara, and Falcon, as a mouse, will go. They've got 4 days, and if they don't return, a legion of riders will follow. On the way up there, they open up to each other, and Nesryn is able to ask some deeper questions about the succession into the crown, marriage in that role, and the burdens that Sartaq carries. Everything is going fine until Kadara sees a baby Rook, and she bolts straight to save it. But it was a trap, causing Kadara to be wrapped in spider silk. Remember, it's very, very strong. Sartaq is injured, and the baby Rook is killed.
Brutally.
They're able to free Kadara, and she flies off to go get them help. And Nesryn has to fight off the spiders. And then they run deeper into the heart of their enemy.
And this was a point where I was like, can I just keep going? I mean, I could. I can make decisions. But I did want to go back to Empire of Storms. So 54 through 56, we're now in Manon's POV as they kind of close in on the capital L lock. As her and Dorian walk, she asks him what Aelin's plan is when she gets that lock and destroys Erewhon. Will everything with Valg blood, Iron Teeth witches included, be killed or sent back to some other realm? She also asks why he doesn't get to decide what happens. Why doesn't he hold the keys and not her? So he admits for the first time that it was him who killed his father and brought down the glass castle with the keys. He would wipe out their continent, he says. Why? For Sorsha. Well, from Witch Queen to Fire Queen, Aelin's POV takes us to a labyrinth holding the lock. And while the water and vegetation around it seem to be pulling away from the area, that seems good. There's really no other threats. Well, okay, too easy, but inside we must go. Again, really too easily. We find the center of the maze, and with it, a chest covered in word marks. Ha ha ha, but here's the catch. Not from this place or the lock, but something else. They feel this burst of power. Lorcan's power, sending out a message. Then they see what Elide and Lorcan were running from, what he's been warning them about. They don't know about Elide yet, but they see the warning. It's an aerial legion of 500 Ilkin. So 8 versus 500. Super great odds.
Yeah.
Super, super great. Adian feels that that's great odds, and he points blame at Aelin for showing off her power, leaving Terrace and not rallying together more allies. He's pissed. And so Aelin kind of gives in a little bit. She says, fine. Quote, magic might not last against them, but steel will. So she allows them to do some planning. The Fae and Demi-Fae plan to figure it all out. Gavriel, Fenris, and Adian, they're going to herd the Ilkin toward Aelin with their bows. She will take the first magical shot. Then her, Dorian, and Rowan will keep hitting them with the magic. Manon will watch for surprises from the back of the ruins. And Lysandra is going to shift into some sort of marsh creature to rile up the other monsters as unwilling allies. All right, it's time to see what happens. First shot, quote, Aelin abandoned every trapping of civilization, of conscience and rules and humanity, and plummeted into her fire. Well, thankfully, you don't have to wait to see what happens. We stay here for one more chapter, but it's in Lorcan's POV, who thinks that the power she's about to unleash was nothing compared to what we saw from her in Mistward and Air of Fire. We already know that. Lorcan hasn't seen it yet. So Lorcan slams Elide to the ground, using all of his power to shield her, because they're pretty much in Aelin's direct power path, and watches as their plan takes shape. Now we get Adian's turn. He goes, holy gods, holy rutting gods, and tells us what's happening. Aelin's power turning the Ilkin into ash, and then Rowan and Dorian's power meeting Aelin's to hit the rest of the aerial legion. Watching in awe and concern for the price of this magic, he watches as Rowan walks in to Aelin's fire. We now go back to Lorcan, still shielding himself and Elide from this onslaught of flame and ice and wind, but it's starting to rip through his magic. But he's watching too as Rowan is walking through this fire to Aelin as the last of the Ilkin are killed, and she reigns in her power, leaving herself and him with a crown of flames. He watches as the two of them kiss, feeling his soul tug at her power. And oh yeah, Elide is still there, and she's like, what the fuck is going on? So finally, he lets her up, and she sees all these dead Ilkin and her queen and Rowan making out mid-creature ash, and she says, what do we do now? And Lorcan, with this evil little grin, knowing that Elaine just used all her power, says, we go say hello.
Tower of Dawn, Chapter 43. It's time for our trip into the desert for Yrene's birthday, and Chaol gets to ride his own horse named Farasha, aka Butterfly. She's actually quite fierce, though, but in reality... in reality, she's actually quite fierce. Read ahead of my own notes. Okay, Yrene rides an equally fierce mount right next to him, and it seems as though the whole family has come to celebrate for her birthday, and they're almost to their destination. It's a beautiful moment of reprieve from all of the chaos of the lands that we've been reading about, and the two of them smile at each other. They feel the wind rush past them as they race across the desert, just for the joy of it.
I do love their happy moments. They're really sweet.
There's a lot of happy moments in Tower of Dawn.
Yeah.
Maybe that's good, because now we go back to Empire Storms.
Yeah. Balance. So Empire of Storms, 57 through 59. So here it is. The moment she's waited for a decade, Elide makes her way toward Aelin. But she stops a few steps away, noticing a set of eyes honing in on Lorcan. And maybe Lorcan should have been paying more attention to his surroundings and not just on Aelin and her now depleted power, because Fenris and Gavriel close in on him, Maeve's orders taking over. Elide screams, running for Lorcan as Gavriel launches at him, with Fenris coming in close behind. As Elide throws herself in front of him, the bite meant for Lorcan's neck sinks into her arm and the artery within it. Her screams are enough to pause the fight for just a second as the last of his magic shields them from the animals now turned fey waiting to attack. But for her, he drops it. For her, he would die so she can be healed. Quote, it was not a hard choice, and it did not frighten him, not nearly as much as the fatal wound in her arm did. Lorcan had been born from and gifted with darkness. Returning to it was not a difficult task. Going head to head with Fenris, Lorcan is prepared to die to save Elide, but in a turn of events, wind cleaves the two Fey males apart. Rowan steps in, keeping me from being heartbroken over Lorcan of all people, and says, this ends now. You two don't touch them. They're under the protection of Aelin Galathinius. If you harm them, it will be considered an act of war, because apparently you can't break this blood oath on your own, but there are ancient words to put like a pause on its orders, so thank God for that. Lorcan rushes to Elide as Aelin joins the conversation, and she looks at her and she goes, my God, you look so much like your mother. I am alive today because of your mother. Oh. And as wonderful as this reunion is, it's really the next one that truly warms the heart as Elide looks past Aelin and sees Manon. Sobbing. We're all sobbing for Elide and her hope, her never-ending hope. And then she does what she was asked to by Kaltain, and she hands Aelin the word key. So then as everybody's heading back towards the ruins that are holding the lock, quote, Aelin and Adian had stopped ahead waiting for her, smiling faintly, welcoming. So Elide headed for them, her court, and did not look back. Oh, what a sweet moment. But we don't stop there. We have the two keys and a lock to figure out how to use now, so we got to keep going. And Dorian's POV is really uneasy as they open that chest containing not a lock, or at least not in the way that we might have expected. We don't really know yet. It's a witch mirror. It's iron bound with the eye of Elena carved into the top. Curious. And then Manon's like, okay, well, here's the thing. My grandmother has made these super great weapons of witch mirrors for Erewhon that he'll be able to use with his power. And they're like, oh, cool. Maybe this is meant to help us with that. We don't know yet. So back to their ship they go, and god damn it, there is no rest for the weary, because the Melisande fleet has reached Yoway's shores. But wait, who are they allied with again? And who's this gray-cloaked woman that's coming off the boats, walking on the beach toward them? Well, it's fucking Ansel of Briarcliff, Queen of the Western Wastes. And she goes, hello, bitch. Aelin looks at her and goes, hello, traitor. Looks like you made it on time after all. She goes, as requested, your fleet. Put jaws on the floor. But come on, guys. Aelin is almost always 5 steps ahead. Why are we shocked? Such a good moment. But in Manon's POV, she's pissed. She's like, Queen of the Western Wastes. What? She's not pissed at Aelin for keeping the information as everybody else is, but at the woman who's just shown up and, claimed the throne of the Western Wastes. That's her home. So back at the ship, Manon is ready to rip Ansel's throat out, and thankfully she doesn't, so that we can at least get an explanation of how the hell she's here. Back in Ilium, if you remember, Aelin sent out a few messages, one of which was to Ansel, who was already preparing her army to go to Terrasen to support the land of her long-lost friend, Selena Sardathian. And it was a pleasant surprise when Selena and Aelin became one and the same, and Ansel redirected some of her army to Ylwe. They first marched into Melisande and took over their capital and fleet in the name of Aelin, and then sailed here.
Yay, Ansel!
I'm glad she's
All
on our
right.
side.
Yes. Okay. Now, Tower of Dawn, chapters 44 through 48. After the long ride on the horses, Yrene and Chaol head to a tent for a healing session. No, not that kind, unfortunately.
Mm.
But he has been able to tell her the truth about what happened to his guards and open up in a deeper way. As they explore, they think through how the site of the Fae predates the Coggins' rule in this land, and that it has always been a place that is called to breeders and brought them here. Now, in some of the ruins, they find carvings of Fae warriors fighting Valg, and they realize that it is a Fae burial site. They realized that there was another group of Fae that settled here while the others settled with Brannon. And the Fae of these lands possessed a secret that they wanted kept safe from all other lands. That same secret magic has seeped into the lands here where this burial ground is, and it's given the power to the humans who hail from here. The secret? The power of healing magic. Now, without letting their secret be known, they kind of have to play along for the rest of the getaway. And while they're all hanging out around a pool, a little, oasis, if you will, Hussar decides to, get rude. What the fuck did I write there?
I don't know. Decides
To
to
get
skinny.
skinny?
Decides to get a little sneaky.
Yeah, that's what it's supposed to be. Sneaky. Jesus.
We know she doesn't want to be skinny. She likes having a fat ass.
Yeah, okay. Well, here we go. She decides to get sneaky and use her words in a strategic and calculated way. She suggests that Aelin should marry one of her brothers, and then when she finds out about Prince Rowan, she's like, okay, well, hey, Yrene, you should marry one of my brothers. And bringing the elephant right into the front of the room, Chaol instantly goes to her defense and says, no, she will not be marrying Prince Caution. The tension is thick. Before he ultimately lets Yrene speak for herself. Good man. Where she diffuses the attention here. But then Hussar takes it one step further into some disrespect. And Chaol and Yrene kind of explode. Mostly Yrene, though, because she pushes her, chair and all, into the pool.
Yeah.
Now,
Yrene.
thankfully, this is like a moment that gets brushed off a little bit. Thanks to Renya and Caution. They're like, oh, ha ha ha, that was so funny. Right, Hussar? We're all giggling. That's what we needed, because otherwise, Irene's pretty sure Hussar would have called for her head. But they all go back to their separate areas. Chaol gives Yrene her birthday present. It's a locket that he had made for her, carved with the seas and the mountains to remind her of the journey she made to her dream. And the locket, he says, it's to hold whatever you keep in that pocket. And he says that, or she says that she will cherish it. And then they kiss. But it quickly leads to more. And they make love.
2-for-1 birthday present.
Yay! Okay. And Chaol looks right at her and he says, I will cherish it. Meaning her. But low-key, is he not looking at her coochie when he says that?
I mean, I think he's like, yeah, like just got her naked.
Yeah. I was like, yeah.
I mean, it's a part of her.
Yeah. I know. It's just the word it.
Yeah.
I will cherish it. You mean her? I will cherish you?
He'll cherish something.
Okay, now after many bouts of lovemaking, she describes her interaction to him with Selena. Now, she doesn't actually say her name, though, because she doesn't know it, but she does tell him the story. Across the land, across many lands, Sartaq and Nesryn are trying to stay hidden and alive. Yeah, remember, they're in some shit right now. Okay, well, Falcon, as a field mouse, is still tucked away into her pocket. They make their way through a tight pass. They got to squeeze between it, and Sartaq gets stuck, but he urges Nesryn to go on. The spiders are approaching, and he knows that he's not going to survive, so he confesses his love to her right then and there, and his wish that they had more time. But then the spiders rip him from her grasp. Nesryn has a plan and tells Falcon. When we see her again, she is laying vulnerably on the ground, waiting for herself to be captured. And when she awakens, it is Falcon biting the spider silk that binds her and releasing it. And beside her is Sartaq, alive and bound.
Thank God.
I know. Now she realizes that she is near a carved archway and the spiders are approaching. She needs to buy some time for Falcon to free them both, so she urges the spiders to talk. And it's here that we learn some of the most pivotal information in this series. The spiders are awaiting the return of their dark queen, the queen of the Valg, Maeve.
Slam the book closed. Toss it at the wall. Scream into the abyss. Ah!
Yep.
Okay. Empire Storms, chapters 60 through 61. Quote, here's to dramatic entrances. A cheers between friends as Ansel and Aelin chat before they all head back to Terrasen once again. That's the plan for the next morning. But first, Aelin wants Ansel to do one more thing for her. She asks if they'll head off to find the last of the Kraken witches, convinced that they're still around but in hiding. They will all leave at first light because we also learn that Auntie Maeve may be on her way north as well, now as she's been the one who's been lighting the fires along Eelway's coast and spreading rumors. Bitch. So later in their cabin, Rowan and Aelin contemplate the war and she looks at him, saying that she needs him to do something, but we'll have to wait to learn what that is, though, because we're in Manon's POV now. She lies awake thinking about her heritage and where in the hell Abraxos is when a knock sounds at her door. Who is it? Dorian. He's ready to test out those invisible hands and his real ones on Manon. Quote, then finish what you started, she says to him, and oh boy, does he. If it weren't for the damn morning light, he'd have taken her more than once, but leaves her and us with the promise that they are not done. Now in Elide's POV, her and Lorcan are just about to chat as well when shouting comes from the deck. Shit. Maeve and her ships are now sailing toward them. The only option is confrontation, right? Well, a messenger boat gives them another alternative. Surrender or be murdered. You have one day to decide. Lost with no idea what to do, Rowan takes a page from Aelin's playbook, and he sneaks out of their cabin as she sleeps and goes to Maeve's fleet to request the aid of his cousins.
And we flip back over to Tower of Dawn. Thank goodness, because we all need more information on Maeve. She's currently trying to attack Aelin's ship. So, what do we need to know about her? Well, Tower of Dawn chapters 49 through 51 tell us that long ago, in another lifetime, there was a world of darkness and cold and wind ruled by 3 Valg kings, masters of shadow and pain. They were brothers. They conquered the world and they were in, and then turned it into a world of darkness. A war to end all wars. They turned that world into a paradise for those who dwell in the darkness. And after 1,000 years, they ruled there and produced their heirs. And then a queen appeared. And they all desired her. But she chose to pick the most powerful and the oldest. Not Erewhon. Orcus.
Erewhon's the youngest, right?
Uh-huh.
as the youngest brother. Yeah.
She was not content though, and she used her dark magic and curiosity to look into other worlds and step through the veils and the rips, world walking. The spiders were her handmaids, and they came with her to this world to protect the rip that she used so that her husband would not follow. But her husband came looking for her, and
just get a divorce.
I know. And that's where they need the keys, the 3 keys for him and his 2 brothers, the 3 of them. And they laid waste to tons of different worlds as they were searching for her. And Maeve wanted to hide in plain sight and found the Fae people who were ruled by 2 sister queens, Mab and Mora. She ripped into their minds and all who knew of them and convinced everyone that, oh, no, there were always 3 sisters. And there was the eldest sister, Maeve. Now, in the wars with the 3 kings, she managed to steal the keys and send Orcus and Mantis back. But she couldn't send Erewhon because Brannon took the keys. Maeve found a way to keep Brannon from fully knowing the truth about who she was, even now, which is why he tells Aelin, no, she's not Valg. Don't worry about it. Now, as the spider ends the tale, it's Falcon's turn to take the lead. He scuttles off, transforms into a Stygian spider, or I guess a Karenqui spider. Tomato.
Same, different.
And convinces the real ones that there's a threat approaching, sister. And so they go off to look. Now, in their absence, Nesryn frees Sartaq, and then we create a fire with arrows from what they create fire arrows, from what they have, including Sartaq's hair, and it works. But they need to move. So Falcon says that he will stay. He will stay in spider form. He will fight them off to give them more time. Go. However, he has one favor: to find his long-lost niece. Now, before we get into this, let's just say this is one of those moments when I was watching Stranger Things and they're having a full-on fucking discussion.
And you're like,
I'm
can we move?
Bitch, run! What are we doing?
Yeah.
This is not the time, okay?
It's burying your soul in the middle of destruction.
Falcon's I'm gonna die anyways, so I just need to give you this, okay? I need you to find my long-lost niece, who we know, as we connect the dots, is Lysandra.
Gutted me.
I know. But help arrives. Good news. Borte and Yrene, her betrothed, have come, and they all make it out, including Falcon, in spider form. But he's hurt. He's really hurt. And as they ride away, there's an army of Rook riders coming. They all send flaming arrows into the mountain, and it burns.
Epic. Love Sartaq and Nesryn's adventure. Yes. Back to Empire Storms, 62 to 63. As dawn begins to break, Dorian rushes into Manon's room and drags her to Aelin, then takes both queens in their own right to that lock/witch mirror thing. He thinks that the mirror isn't necessarily a weapon, but a tool to show Aelin how to use the word keys safely and travel, quote, back here. He thinks it's a traveling mirror that will lead them to some answers, just as Aelin finds them and demands to know what they're doing, what the hell's going on. Together, Aelin and Manon grab hands and step inside the mirror. However, we must stay on the ship. We go to Elide's POV as Aelin begins freaking the fuck out, and Rowan arrives back from his personal mission to find out what the hell happened, and each of them try to get into the mirror and find that for them, it's only solid glass. So we stay here and decide what to do. Rowan stepping up to the plate as leader for the time being. He gives Gavriel, Lorcan, and Fenris command of a few ships, each across the fleet in the back, to keep them as far away from Maeve as they can. The middle ships are being held by Ansel and Dorian, and at the front, he and Aelin. Lysandra will be beneath the waves in sea dragon form. It's time to fight.
Tower of Dawn, chapters 52 and 53. Chaol and Yrene ride back to the city at dawn, and when they come back to the palace, they find their rooms trashed, and all of the items about the Valg are missing, except one scroll. Yrene goes back to the tower and finds Hafiza, where she confronts her about the scroll. She tells her that while she cannot read it, it is the same text as a book that her predecessor told her to lock away because it was not for human eyes. Now, later, Yrene goes to the baths to reflect and rings her own bell. She feels called to keep ringing it, though, and to follow the path around the space until she finds a dark corner with an ancient bell, one that has the name of her own ancestor from 200 years ago on it. This inner voice urges her again to look where she fears to go with her own pain. And now she has the answer to heal Chaol.
All right, 64 to 65, Empire Storms. We go into the mirror this time with Aelin and Manon, and it's this world shrouded in mist. Suddenly, this light begins to move toward them, and their world shifts as they're in a memory. So this first one is called Dawn at the Obsidian Pass. It's 1,000 years ago. Elena is kneeling before an obsidian sarcophagus covered in word marks, at the center of which is that Eye of Elena amulet. The eye is the lock. Now, Elena stole it from her father and used it without realizing that there were bigger things at stake, others who wanted to go, quote unquote, home. These others, Mala amongst them, damn Elena for her choice, telling her that someday another in her bloodline will now have to give up their life to give the eye power again. Send them all home and seal the word keys back into the word gate, and she will have to be the one to lead them to that death. We then pop into this memory called Moonrise at the Temple of Sandrian. Moonrise at the Temple of Sandrian, the Stone Marshes. We now follow our lovely Nehemia, as she has been wandering the stone marshes for weeks and finds her way to the temple holding the chest and finds Elena's spirit, the first time that they ever meet. Nehemia learns of the power passed through the say that last name for me again. I haven't had to say it for a while. Havilyard. That's what I thought. But Nehemia learns of the power passed through the Havilyard line as well as the Galathinius one, and that Aelin is not dead. So this sets into motion Nehemia's arrival in Rifthold and sets everything else into play. The price that Elena is forced to pay. Dorian or Aelin. One of them must die.
Ugh. All right. Well, Tower of Dawn, chapters 54 through 56. Chaol awakes and is startled to find that he can barely move again. Kind of like me and my neck a couple weeks ago. Now, after an evening...
He almost 30. Just kidding.
Oh, he is, actually. Closer to it. Okay, now after an evening of berating himself about sleeping with Yrene before being able to officially end things with Nesryn, it seems it has had a major effect on him. Then Yrene comes in and urges him to begin their healing right away. And as they enter that dark space, Chaol relives every terrible thought he has had about those he has cared for and himself before realizing that he has to forgive himself and that he has a promise that he can still keep to come home to Dorian and to help. After he finally lets go of his pain, lets go of his self-hatred, we see Yrene standing there covered in a bright white light. And she tells him that he must love himself the same way that she loves him. And that if he can do that, he will be able to keep the darkness out. The healing ends, and he can once again fully move. He tells Yrene that he loves her, and that they must find a title for her that allows her to scold him whenever she needs.
66 through 67, Empire of Storms. The battle between Maeve, whoever she is, and Aelin's court is on. So as Adian's ship launches arrows, Lysandra beneath the waves begins taking out ships one by one. In Dorian's POV, he's preparing to use his magic on Maeve's fleet, but as they close in on them, suddenly a third of Maeve's black flags begin to lower and silver whitethorn flags raise. The ships bearing them have switched sides. The cousins came through. That would be such an epic moment to see, like, in movie form. Every single one of Rowan's cousins sided with him and Aelin. Their ice and wind pushing back against Maeve. Aha! But she's a clever bitch because Maeve isn't on any boat. She's on the shore.
Tower of Dawn, chapter 57. They all return back to the safety of the clan, where Falcon is partially healed in spider form. Sorry, guys. My words are getting caught in my mouth. All right. He is partially healed in spider form so that he can shift back into his human self. Sartaq and Nesryn have definitely grown closer through this encounter. And, I mean, they've confessed their love. My goodness. Now, while it's not sexual, it is definitely romantic when they share a bed to stay in each other's comfort. I mean, fair. If you'd almost died, you might not want to be alone.
Yeah. Let them heal and then they can figure the rest out. But
yes. Now later, Nesryn and Falcon are able to speak again, and she shares a theory she has that Lysandra is most likely his long-lost cousin, and she knows him. She knows her. Yeah. And Falcon agrees to return to the north with them so that he can see her. Then she and Sartaq share what they've learned with all the clans that have gathered and invite them to stand against the Valg and fly as one under the Coggan's banner. Things are made more urgent, though, when they receive a letter from Chaol telling them come fast as the wind can take them.
Bum, bum, bum. All right, guys, 68 through 75, Empire of Storms, the end of this book. Now, please excuse me if I missed anything here because I wrote the summary at the end of reading all of this because I just needed to read and feel my emotions. So we're back inside the mirror as more and more memories swirl around them, and then it hits Aelin. She will have to be the one to give up her life to end all of this. The queen who was promised. Finally, Elena shows Aelin how it must be done and tells her that they will go together until the end, just as the magic of the mirror fades and we end up back in the battle. However, we're not on our ship, but on the shore, standing before Maeve as she stands before Elide with one of her, blood oath people. Somebody has a blade held to Elide's throat. Quote, well, you didn't drag your ancient carcass all the way here for nothing, so let's get on with it. What do you want for the girl? Aelin asks this and then pushes Manon back, which we don't know at the time, but later we learn, giving her the word keys in this moment, and musters up as much firepower as she can, just as Maeve lashes out her own dark power. In the fight, Lorcan's there. He grabs Elide to save her, but don't forget, Lorcan, you have a blood oath to Maeve, and she calls it in and forces him to now restrain her himself. She must watch as Aelin is beat down until Maeve gives her this final choice. Surrender and come with us, or I'll have my sadist blood oath dude whip Elide to death. And not willing to let Elide or anyone else die for her, Aelin concedes. They whip her within an inch of her life, and just as she's about to throw her in an iron coffin and take off, we get the answer to one of our most asked questions. Rowan is her mate. Lyria was faked as a ploy to break Rowan and to make them question the little bit of time that they had together. As Maeve disappears with Aelin, the rest of our court arrive on the beach to find this bloody mess, but their queen is missing. Elide tells them everything about the encounter. Manon fills in the gaps about what happened within the witch mirror and how Aelin was prepared to die for them all regardless. Rowan then fills us in on a closed door scene. What was Aelin asking him to do for her? Well, we find out because they got married. Lysandra and Aedion were their witnesses so that Terrasen would have a king. But Aelin's planning didn't stop there, because Lysandra will now wear Aelin's face and continue their fight against Erewhon and a few other familiar faces show up. Galen Ashriver, the 13, and Elias of the Silent Assassins all arrive, ready to aid Aelin and Terrasen in this war. She has been planning and planning and planning, setting up allies, creating her band of misfits to take on Erwin. So with an army now at the ready, our court breaks off. Manon and Dorian, with the keys, are headed to find the last of the Kraken witches. Adian and Lysandra / Aelin now are going north to Terrasen. And Rowan is going to find his mate. Quote, unleashing a cry that would set the world trembling. Prince Rowan Whitethorn Galathinius, consort of the Queen of Terrasen, began the hunt to find his wife.
Oh, y'all. And that's just where you're like broken in half, and then we gotta go read Tower of Dawn now. Dawn. Okay. Sorry. It's a great book.
Took a break. It is. But I also was like,
after you read that, you're just like, oh.
What if I'd had to wait?
You do have to wait at least for the next 10 chapters. So here we go, because it's 10 chapters. Tower Dawn, chapters 58 through 68. Yrene and Chaol are awaiting Hafiza's decision to give them the books for Aelin. During their time with each other, he tells her the full story of his past with Selena and her true identity as Aelin, and the sacrifices of Dorian, the former king. And he helps Yrene, it helps confirm Yrene's theory that the Valg are parasites, like a tapeworm, that takes over the host's basic needs, then eventually kills the host. They are more sentient and feed on fear, and Yrene believes that she had to use her light to heal those who have been infected. She can heal even more people. This, they believe, is the reason why the healers have been hunted, and how they've come to the realization that it was not Mala that formed Atherin's immunity ring, but Silba, the goddess of healing. And as they're about to head back to the Torre to find Hafiza, Hussar comes in and shows Aelin, and tells them that Aelin's battle. She tells them about the battle with Maeve and Aelin, kind of like shoves it in Chaol's face. And her taunting takes a turn, though, as she tells them, by the way, Aelin wrote me a little letter. Okay, surprise. Offered her one thing, though, for her to fight in this war: a better world. They go to the Torre. They're shocked to find that Hafiza's office has been attacked. And while the scroll and the books are safe, Hafiza is not. She is missing. And they find that key to the case where the lock is, where the book is kept. It's purposefully hidden. Irene's like, oh, no. She wouldn't have hid that there without reason. Mm-hmm. And so they take it, knowing like she's probably trying to send them a message. They go into the forgotten tunnels beneath the library, and they find a chamber lined with gold and treasures and sarcophagi. We learn that this is Mora's royal fae line, and that there is a dais, and that's where they see Hafiza, but she's gagged and bound, and next to her, the very pregnant Duva. Well, she's sitting there with a knife resting on her belly, but it isn't her. It's a Valg that looks through those eyes. It turns out Parrington sent a wedding gift that included a silver ring with a hidden core, and Duva snatched it so Hussar couldn't have it. And it was on. Oh, I know. Ooh. It was on her, or Valg her, as she pushed Tumaloon, her sister, over the wall, because Tumaloon, knew something was wrong with Duva. Erewhon had heard there was a healer here, blessed with Silba's gifts, and wanted her eliminated because she stands for hope. The hope of healing, the hope of a better world, the hope that Silba's heir would give. The Valg wants to take Yrene to Morath, but there is no way Chaol will let that happen. No way Hafiza will let that happen either, because she's going to throw herself, chair and all, atop Duva.
Crazy.
Yrene goes to help Hafiza, and Cole stands between Duva, the woman he loves, and Yrene starts to make her way out of the room with Hafiza, and she watches in horror as Chaol is fighting back against Duva. She uses an ancient mirror to reflect power at her and knocks her down, and Yrene makes for Duva, worried about the real woman who lies within and their unborn child. But as she rolls her, Valg Duva is smiling up at her and strikes. Chaol shoves himself between Yrene and Duva's power, and he is struck again, full force, onto his back. No inner king, daddy king, to pull back the power on this one. Full send. Now, Chaol does save her, but he is fully broken. Yrene goes for the sword.
What? No.
I know. Throws it at her before running and searching for something else to fight Duva. She doesn't want to hurt her. And then Duva catches her and forces her to watch as Chaol is trying to crawl towards her, broken and all. And then she uses those skills that Elena gave her all those years ago to free herself from Duva's grip. She grabs the dagger to kill Duva, but Chaol stops her, knowing the damage it would do to Yrene's soul. Chaol is dying, and Yrene can feel his death approaching. She drops the dagger, and then Hafiza steps up behind her, blows a powder into Duva's face that puts her to sleep. Alongside the healer on high is the cats that led Sartaq and Nesryn to the same spot. Yrene runs to Chaol. He is barely there, and she can't heal him because death is too close. But then she hears Silba's voice coming in the form of all the healing voices of the past, including her mother's. The damage is too great. There must be a cost if he is to be repaired. And Yrene will pay that cost. She will pay that debt. And in doing so, Chaol's life is now tied to Yrene's. The two lives on one thread. Chaol's body also has to pay a price because of how much was broken on him. There's still some damage to his spine that will never be repairable. The life bond will give him the ability to use his legs when Yrene's magic is full. But when she is drained, his injury will return, and he'll need a cane or a chair on some hard days. The balance is the cost, and when one of them dies, so shall the other. Yrene says that they must still go to war, though. Nesryn and Sartaq agree and are ready to share all that they have learned. Back at the palace, the Coggin is shown Duva and the reality that the war poses to all of them. Yrene works to heal Duva, and it is so much worse than what she had to do with Chaol. It's like an exorcism, the way her body contorts and fights. And Yrene unleashes her white light into the body, and she's able to slowly come down to the core and finds the Valg in its true form. Pointed, fish-sharp teeth, gangly limbs and talons with gray, slick skin and swirling shadows with large, dark eyes. It is a princess Valg that lies within Duva as she vomits it up from the healing, and it slowly comes out of her in shadows and evaporates as it meets Mala's sun. Duva is healed. Her baby is alive and well and human.
Thank goodness.
And this is the final push that the Coggin really needs as he offers Yrene anything. And another ally is secured for Aelin Galathinius. Because what did Yrene ask for? For the Coggin to save her people. Nesryn and Yrene have secured, Nesryn and Yrene? Well, no, really it's Nesryn and Sartaq, have secured 1,000 Rook riders. And, surprising ally, Hussar. She's going to bring her whole armada. Well, there are a few moments of joy to end our story here. First, Nesryn's family was able to journey and make it from Otterland to Antica safely and reunite with her. Yay. Second, Sartaq is now, Sartaq came to tell his father, like, I'm taking the Rook Riders to war because the woman I love is going. And Sartaq denies himself the throne in order to be with her. And by making that sacrifice, the Coggin appoints him heir. Okay, yay! Queen Nesryn. Or Empress Nesryn, I guess.
Empress Nesryn. I would love that.
Now, Yrene and Chaol have married.
So sweet. Everybody's getting married.
Everybody's
and consummating
married.
and all the things. So much is happening.
Chaol sees on their way back on the ship, he sees the handwriting of that note Yrene keeps now in her locket. Instantly, he knows whose handwriting that is. He knows it's Aelin's handwriting. And that it was Aelin that ultimately brought him to his wife.
Brought them together.
So who else is on this ship?
So hating of Aelin now, Chaol.
I think he's finally got the darkness out of his heart, okay?
Thank goodness.
Now, who else is on this ship? 300 healers that are coming to save Yrene's people.
Hafiza included. I'm so excited.
We move into the last portion of Tower of Dawn. It's titled Fireheart. Our story ends with a reminder that our hearts were broken in Empire of Storms as we peer into Aelin's mind. We find her deep within herself, drifting in the numbness and the darkness of her mind. We know not how much time has truly passed, but the iron box is opened, and Maeve appears in at Aelin, who has been forced to wear an iron mask and shackles. Maeve's cruel smile says the haunting words, "Let's begin." And our story ends. Woo!
Good thing we don't have to wait a year, guys.
Yay! Okay, so world building. There's a decent amount here. I'm going to start with magic. So that Eye of Elena / Eye of the Goddess, if you're looking at it through the witch's lens. So it's the same marking, those 3 intertwining circles making an eye, same as the witch's symbol for maiden, mother, and crone. Okay, well, let's then go to the witch curse. Blood to blood and soul to soul. Together, this was done, and only together can it be undone. Be the bridge, be the light when iron melts, flowers spring from fields of blood. But the lamb be the witness and return home. Oh, land, not lamb. Bah. Land. So that's why we need Manon. She's of both. She is the bridge. Okay, Maeve. I just found this was interesting. Maeve says she wants Lorcan like dead, and the way to do it is to behead him and burn him. So apparently, like, even if you die, you still get to go to that afterlife, that afterworld, the fating. But if you behead them and burn them, then their soul is killed?
Kind of like vampires.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Okay. Witch mirrors. Okay. The lock itself is actually a witch mirror and not a lock at all, because the lock is actually the Eye of Elena / the Eye of the Goddess. But this mirror, it is iron bound, the surface almost golden with age, twinning intricate borders, and the Eye of Elena in the upper right corner. I just wrote that down because Lord knows if we ever get another description of a mirror ever again, even in a book that hasn't released yet. It's helpful to know if we're looking at something similar. You have to work very hard to break true witch mirrors, and they can see the future, the past, the present. You can speak between mirrors that are sister glass, and there are rare silvers forged, and their forging demands something vital from the maker. And then there are mirrors that amplify and hold blasts of raw power to be unleashed if it is aimed at something. We know that's the kind that the king is having made for battle. Okay, so let's go to some places. I'm going to start with the southern continent. Just a little bit of history here. In that southern continent, there was a race of Fae that lived there who knew to flee Maeve and protect the power of healing within the southern continent lands. I feel like I gave quite a bit in our summary outside of that. And then Elena's truth. Man, Elena dropped some bombs here. Okay. The mirror was that memory bank for Aelin to know the truth. The lock has always been the eye of Elena. The Eye of Elena was forged through Mora and Mala's sacrifice for her life to becoming a god. But it was also a type of witch mirror. Hence, the three-faced goddess symbol, because Rhianna Kraken was the one who helped her make it. So that symbol has always been the witch's symbol. It's just on the eye of Elena because Rhianna helped. Okay, so Brannon. Brannon was the one who was going to use the lock to bind the keys, help send the gods back to their homeland. So, like, low-key, are they even gods then? And then they would in turn take the Dark King with them. Okay. Elena broke that promise by stealing it from her father and using it to seal Erewhon. And the price from those gods was that, one of her lineage would have to sacrifice their life. Okay. This is important, though. It can be Aelin or Dorian. And this is the end of my world building.
Should we dive into our characters?
Heck yeah. Oh, Aelin. All right. I've broken them up into some smaller areas. Starting with just some general things. I love this greeting between her and Ansel. So fun. Hello, bitch. Hello, traitor. I was very happy to see Ansel come back and to see her plans come to fruition.
And bring her casita.
Yeah, that's right.
Horseback.
Absolutely. She got to enjoy that for all of like 2 minutes.
I believe she'll be back. I believe she's not gone.
I was so glad she finally got to tell Elide like what her heart had been carrying for so long.
Weight off your shoulders.
Yes. Speaking of weight on her shoulders, we kind of learn like why she keeps all her plans from everyone. She's terrified of disappointing. She doesn't want to disappoint them. She doesn't want things to fall through the cracks. She just, it's better if I don't tell you because then if it doesn't happen, you don't know. And hence she keeps saying she just needs more time because she needs all of those people she messaged to have enough time to get there. They were so close. All right, so let's talk about her effed up fate. Her whole life, she's just a lamb for the slaughter. It's giving Harry Potter. It's so sad. It's so sad to know that she's destined to die. And Elena, I did note this part. Supposed to take her when she was 8 years old, but she looked at her. She looked at her dying there and thought, no, you didn't even get to live a life. This isn't what I want for you. So Elena gives up her own afterlife so that Aelin can live a life. I thought that was really beautiful. And question for you, does that sacrifice make you forgive Elena?
I don't know that I was mad at her necessarily for the choice that she made, so I don't know that I needed to forgive her.
Okay.
I don't know that I was necessarily mad at her.
A lot of people really, really hate Elena.
Oh, I mean, I get being like frustrated with her, but I think we've talked about this in a couple of heroines' journeys and like past
Yeah.
episodes. Like you can only do what you can do in the moment, right? With the information that you have. And unfortunately, she made bad decisions. Like
Mhm.
ultimately, but she did what she could in the moment, and I think we do that often. We do what we can with the information we have. And so I guess
Yeah.
I wasn't mad at her. Like I was, but I wasn't. And I just guess if I needed her to be redeemed, which I don't know if I felt like super strongly either way, but her willingness to also walk into, nothingness with
Yeah.
Aelin, I think was really, really beautiful. And that I guess would be kind of that like redeeming moment for me.
I would agree.
It,
I would agree.
past the saving her as a child. And I'm like, is it better for her to have lived a life or worse? I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know if that makes it better, or if that makes it sadder to have
Yeah.
gotten, some experiences, so many horrible experiences too. So much good, but also so much bad in those 10 years. So
Absolutely.
yeah, I don't
Well,
know. I
my
wasn't mad at
next
her though. I don't
yeah.
know. Maybe that makes me weird.
No, I don't think so. My next section is titled "Rip My Heart Out, Why Don't Ya?"
Hmm.
The ending of this book is so heart-wrenching. I found myself kind of avoiding it just so I could live a little longer in the joy. Because
Mm.
that joy feels so brief. And I was just like, I'll read it tomorrow. But I did eventually get through it. And man, to see her fighting with no power left in her, she used it all in that battle, and then she's stripped. Her shirt is taken off. She's just whipped to the point that her back is shreds of skin. Then has to lay down on it, trapped in that iron coffin, which was torturous to read because her
Mm.
being trapped is one of her most horrifying triggers, right?
It's
She was
literally her
trapped in the
freedom ripped away
sewers.
from her.
Oh, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that too. But she was trapped in the sewers in Assassin's Blade, thought she was going to die in that, pit of sewage, and almost drown. Then she's trapped in the darkness of the salt mines. Then she's dreaming of being trapped in Elena's tomb later in, I think it's Throne of Glass. And then she's literally placed in a coffin, all of her worst nightmares and her triggers coming right here to fruition. I remember reading about them, her going back into the sewers in, I think it's Queen of Shadows, and she's going to go find Chaol, and they're hunting Valg down there. And she talks about she has to like catch her breath because it's so triggering for her to be in that place. And now she's literally locked in one, locked in a place of darkness. Now, even within that, she finds a way to keep the keys safe. Our queen. Even in all that chaos, she is able to slip those keys to Manon. I'm just, yeah, rip my heart out again and again. It's so freaking sad.
Yeah. I hate to like, I mean, she's not dead, and I have hope and faith. But she talks about like maybe if I have offspring, like then maybe I'll conquer the rest of the world. So they have titles and land, and I'll spread music and books and culture across the earth. And it's like, you would just be such a good person to rule the earth.
Yes.
But
Yes.
I think, ripping our heart outs and Rowan and Aelin kind of go hand in hand. And something I wanted to mention before we get into them together is, her realization that everyone, including Rowan, is expecting, that once the lock is forged, like they'll go home together. And that'll be that,
Mm,
and that'll be the end. But only she knows. Now Manon knows too that she has to die for it. And then she
yeah.
makes this decision quietly, all on her own, like she often does, that she's not going to tell anybody. She's going to refuse to let them spend their remaining time to try and stop her and fuss over it. And instead, she just chooses to enjoy what little, 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 little time she has with the people she loves. And what a lonely decision, perhaps the loneliest decision to have to make in this entire series. And then to not even be able to do what you anticipated doing, what you had planned
Yeah.
to do. You plan to sacrifice yourself for the better of everybody, and now you're just shoved in an iron coffin. You can't do anything.
That's terrible. Oh, well, Rowan and Aelin, I do have a whole section for them. So here's where I started with. He knows exactly what she likes. Okay, we'll stick with the happy for a second. Tells her that when we get out of these marshes and back to land, I'm gonna find you the nicest inn around, get you a big bathtub and best food. She's just a girl. She's a fierce warrior, but at the end of the day, she's like, I just want to be pampered. I love that. Um, Wants to know who's Molly. Oh, Mala. Molly wants to know what Mala told him. So she's like, hey, when we were going off to Dornell and you looked at the sun, before I freed you from the blood oath, what were you telling Mala? She doesn't push him any further or ask any questions of why she wants to know, but she says, I'll tell you later. Looking back at this, I think that was her kind of being like, she tell you that we were mates or anything? Give you any hints to that? Because, what'd she tell you? And I think that was kind of what she was alluding to. Okay, so then Lorcan is watching as she becomes that queen of fire, and her and Rowan are embracing each other after the battle, and he gets a crown of fire too. Now we know after the fact they were already married in that moment. Hence,
were they married there or the next morning before Maeve arrived?
I thought it was before that battle, or maybe that was the catalyst.
Arrived. Maybe in
somewhere in there. They didn't
give us a date. We don't have an anniversary.
But what I do
in there,
it was a preemptive fire crown for him, or after the fact. But nonetheless, it's a symbolic moment of him, and that he will be king, or kind of is king now. Ugh. Okay. I wanted you to know that joy too. I know I've known for a long time. Talking about them being mates. She's known he was her mate since the arrow went through his shoulder. Man, that was a long time ago. She's known for so long and felt it.
Just like Reese didn't want to, shatter the other person's world, was willing to keep it a secret and willing to live with whatever so that the other person could be happy.
Well, at the end of our book here, Aelin sends a lot of messages to a lot of different people via Elide. This is her message for Rowan. Tell him I'm sorry I lied. But even before today, it was all borrowed time. Tell him he must save Terrasen and remember the vows he made. And thank you for walking that dark path with me into the light. So sweet. I love the two of them. But my heart is broken for Rowan.
Yeah. For a multitude of reasons. This guy's got to be feeling a lot of things.
All the things, right? Okay. It's going into Rowan. That flying to his cousins, knowing his cousins could totally kill him on the spot. You're literally flying into the enemy ships, but he gets on his knees in front of each of them and begs for them, tells them the story of Aelin and their time together, and then to see them all turn their flags for him. I love it. Okay, well, here's the sad. These lines are just... this is where I started crying, by the way. He is saying, where is my wife? Because that's our reveal of us all going, wait, what? Where is my wife? He would not accept it. fight it, even if it took him 1,000 years. He will find her. And he bends down and picks up her shirt, held to his face, shifts and unleashes a cry as he begins to hunt for his wife. What an ending. What an ending.
Looking forward to that reunion, to say the least. Even if it's only for 5 seconds. I look forward to that reunion.
Heartbreaking. Okay, well, this next character probably pisses me off more than anything, so mood change. Aelin. Okay.
Yeah, he's a little frustrating in this
Jeez
book.
Louise. Okay. Aelin says, so I guess that your perfect stage is over then. And he replies with this, it isn't a game. And then here comes this iconic line. Where are our allies, Aelin? Where are our armies? All we have to show for our efforts is a pirate lord who might change his mind. Where are our armies?
Feels like shit now.
Uh-huh. And Ansel comes, but Aelin keeps saying she needs more time, not for herself, but for her allies. Then come those witches, then Galen, and his whole armada, and the silent assassins, hundreds of them. And Aelin has to eat his words, but Aelin's not there. Can't say sorry. She just sacrificed her entire life for you and knew it was going to happen.
Again, he better grovel on his freaking knees.
Then, he finally starts something with Lysandra. Finally. And they have this moment. They're like so honest and intimate with each other. He's like, I've had partners of all sexes. I love is love. How beautiful. And then he goes on to basically call her a lying bitch. Okay, Aelin. Wow, you really know how to flip it. I know he's supposed to also, as a demi-fae, have this kind of temper, if you will. But I just don't find that to be an excuse, because Rowan's full fae.
Yeah.
If anybody's going to have that kind of a temper, shouldn't it be him? But he can, hold his tongue. Maybe it's because Rowan's old and he's seen some shit.
I was going to say, I think it has to do with age a bit, especially like
so
Aelin
immature.
Punching Dorian in the face, but Rowan holds himself back,
Yeah.
I think it's maturity too, and like life experience. Aelin's got a lot of it, but I think because he's only 24. Maybe.
Yeah, not a couple hundred years.
Yeah, like he hasn't even reached peak brain development yet, especially probably for a fae, demi-fae. So I will give him a little bit of grace in that. But yes, he got a little frustrating at the end of this book where it was like, bro, like I get it, but also can you just trust Aelin a little bit? Like, can you just put your trust in her a little bit? I thought that's what you were literally meant to do.
Yeah. Well, Aelin has a message for him. It's not your fault, and that I wish he had been able to take the blood oath. But Terrasen will look to him now, and the line must not break. Even in all of that, even with him looking at Aelin and saying, "Where are our allies, Aelin?" She's like, I'm going to take it in stride. Here's your message. It's still lovely. Yeah. Now Lysandra. Lysandra gets, I don't have too many notes on her today, but she kind of gets the short end of the stick in a lot of these situations.
Yeah.
She's like the keeper of all of the knowledge. And has got to have some thick ass skin in any form. Just a general note, I love how she studies and thinks through her perfect forms. She changes her sea dragon form. Yes, thank you. To become and a clubbed tail and a spider silk body. That's dope. That's so cool. And Aelin has a message for her too. Tell Lysandra to remember the promise and that I will always be grateful. Oh, she told me that day on the boat Aelin would die. That's what she was telling her when we were all like, oh, she's off to tell her about maybe being pregnant. No, that was the day on the boat. She came to say, I'm going to die. And
Kind of
no
clicked.
one would know because you're going to wear my skin for the rest of your life. And Lysandra and Aedian's children would be claimed as Aelin and Rowan's. Okay, now I can understand that would be a little like frustrating. I get that. I get that. That's a lot to swallow. But she uses those acting skills right away here at the end of the book to become Aelin. She gives up any life she would have dreamed for herself over in Caraver with Evangeline. And she has no time to grieve it. She's to immediately become Aelin. I just want to hug this woman. I know. Speaking of greater good, I feel like Dorian's always out here for the greater good.
Yeah.
His power is super cool. Love to see how it's growing. Acting with just his mind. Like you just look at something and make it stop and freeze. That raw power. So cool. Manon says, where do you stand in that line of killing? And he's thinking about it. He's like, killing because I have to, or killing for pleasure, which is a very different take from pre-Volgadian, or sorry, pre-Volg Dorian. And he says, I'll stay on the other side of that line until I find your grandmother. He wants to avenge Manon.
Mm-hmm.
Love. Love. And I do enjoy these quippy little lines from Dorian. People other than you can solve things. True. True. Because to be fair, Dorian, is he more powerful than Aelin? Or do we put them on equal caliber? I fear he might be more powerful than her and just not as honed in. And regardless, I feel like he doesn't show up that much.
Yeah, he kind of just stands on the sidelines and watches
Yeah.
a little bit, which I think is good. Yeah, I mean, his powers I think are far less honed, like you said, and probably just better for him to stand back and watch because I think he's also kind of making his own plans as he watches everybody around him.
Yes. Aelin, I don't like this plan, Dorian. It's because it's not yours. A king and a queen. But then he has, a beautiful line here. It's not such a hard thing, is it? To die for your friends. And now he has the keys. Off for that task.
I have a feeling he sacrifices himself in the end so Aelin can live. Or my other theory is that Aelin has that little bit of water magic in her, and that maybe she burns up all of her fire magic, her unending well of molten fire within her, but it's that small kernel of water magic that keeps her from dying outright. So either Dorian dies or neither of them die. I don't think Aelin ultimately dies. That's my theories. But another book to see.
Yeah, we got to get through a big old honker. Okay. And you're not going to get those answers till like the end. So you really got to get it all in.
Expect nothing less.
Okay, so moving over to Manon. Aelin and Manon talk about their sword names, and I love that she's like, that's a cool name. Yeah, it's pretty good. Mine's better. Their interactions it's very much so reminds me of her interactions with Ansel, and I know Manon and Ansel are like not there, but man, I feel like they could be.
Yeah, I think they could rule the wastes side by side.
Oh, Manon looks at Aelin and Elide next to each other, and she says one word: hope.
Mm.
To be fair, her vocabulary when it comes to emotions is rather limited still, so she didn't have a lot to select from, but I like her choice. Hope.
I think hope is the right one.
Uh, Now we get into some, the sexy scenes with the two of them, which are good, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Do
Small
enjoy.
mighty.
Yes. And she says she had never wondered what it would be like to yield control and have it not mean weakness, but freedom.
Mm. First time she'd ever let somebody be on top.
Yes.
Man.
I was like,
I
oh
also feel like
gosh.
she describes like shaking afterwards, and I'm like, okay, so is Dorian also the first person to ever make you orgasm? Like, actually allow
Probably he's
yourself to
of the caliber.
unleash.
What she's only had sex with like random human men, not men of power.
Mm.
It's pretty incredible. So yes, I did enjoy that. But something I enjoyed just as much as the 13 coming to find her. Love. 5 centuries of pure-blooded iron teeth couldn't bring us home. Maybe you can.
Mm.
How beautiful.
I
Not a
hope we get that
child of
moment.
war, but of peace. Astrid, she's got some good lines. Now, this is where I started sobbing. I think this is where I took my picture and texted it to you. Which I know maybe this is a surprising line, but we've just watched Aelin sacrifice herself. We've watched Aedion realize how wrong he was. We've watched Rowan scream and cry on a beach for his wife and his mate, to find out right then from Elide that that was my mate. All these feelings and this turmoil I was having was not for nothing. I don't need to feel guilty about it. We get all of this pent up, and then we have Manon saying to her 13, Aelin Galathinius willingly handed over her freedom so that an iron teeth witch could walk free. We owe her a life debt. And more than that, it is time we became better than our foremothers. We are all children of this land. I am going to find the Krakens, and I am going to raise an army with them for Aelin and her people, and for ours. Will you follow me?
All that devastation and then hope from the most unlikeliest of people. Manon.
Yes! It's so powerful. Oh. Yep. That's all I got for Manon. I don't know, something about her character. I fucking love it.
Yeah, she's good. We enjoy her.
Yes. Lead.
Yes. Dive on in.
Okay. I think love, she says about love, excuse me. I think love should make you happy. It should make you the best possible version of yourself. I don't think you even know what happiness is. Now, this is before she kisses Lorcan, but, well, not like right before, but, a few chapters before. But I really love Elide Locken's take on love, considering how much of her life did she actually get to experience that feeling? Not a lot.
Very
From her
little.
mother and father, and that's it. And then she was taken and locked up and put away. But she still holds on to that. This character, of any of these characters, should just be broken and tattered and have
She
no
holds
hope.
herself together.
Yes. Incredible. You read this in our summary, but I do think it's worth restating. Her words to Lorcan: you would have a place with me in Baranth. You could show up in 10 years. There will always be a place here. And Lorcan gives her that Valg shielding ring. I'm wondering, is she still wearing that? She must be,
Anther's
right?
ring? I think so.
Yeah. She sacrifices herself to save him from the cadre. there's just so many moments of the two of them. Um, and ultimately, it does not end well. Uh, she hates him. She hates him now. Watches him crawl towards Maeve under that blood oath, broken. And listen, I understand the hatred for Lorcan, but there's like only so much you can do when you're bound by a blood oath. And it's ripped from him. And the way Gavriel describes this breaking is that it's literally like a physical pain. There's only so much he can do.
I like Lorcan. I don't hate Lorcan. He's got his problems. But, but I will say him crawling to Maeve after that, I kind of understand why Elide, was like, I hope you suffer for the rest of your life. When he's literally
Yeah.
looking at Maeve, and yes, he's under the blood oath spell or whatever, but I did this all for you. Everything was for you. Then crawling to her, like that's got to make a lead feel like shit.
Yeah, for sure.
So
For
I
sure.
I understand her
Yeah, her
frustration in the
frustration.
moment.
Well, two other moments that I noted about Elide. One was her telling Aelin and Dorian, who's there, about Caltaine. And
Mm-hmm.
I was just like in my mind reliving the visual memory of Caltaine's final sacrifice in the
Mm-hmm.
dungeons of Morath. And I was crying during this too, because Aelin is learning about this. That's a full circle moment. She's learning about all of these things. Dorian is over there feeling like shit. He's like, man,
Mm-hmm.
we should have all seen it. We should have opened our eyes.
Done better for
Um, you
Caltaine.
know, when you know better, you do better, and they weren't there at the time. But um, it was a beautiful moment. And Aelin's final words for Elide. Terrasen would need her. I'm glad we met. I'm proud to know you, and your mother would have been proud of you too. I'm sure Elide
Mm-hmm.
was happy. She spends a lot of the book thinking, what can I do for this fire queen? I guess I'll wash her dishes. And she gets a line. She gets a goodbye line.
And they've known each other for 5 seconds, 3 days, whatever it is. It's not
Yeah,
very long.
I'm proud to know you. All
They've waited their
right.
whole half of their lives to be able to see each other again.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Lorcan, this character, okay. He says that the dark gods lead him and that they've never left him astray. These gods, I've got a lot of question about these gods. Okay. Um,
Yeah.
I've been in love with Maeve since the moment I laid eyes on her. I do not hold any shroud of hope for her. And then Elide says, well, that does not seem like love at all.
Hmm. Well, he offered to join her in her bed and she laughed at him. Like, okay,
Yeah.
you still love her? I mean, not that
But
that has to
even
be part of
Elide's
it,
like, you
but
don't know what love is.
no, he does not. But I
Yeah.
mean, he's never had love though either, because wasn't he, excuse my language, but bastard born, like in the
Thrown out on the
streets? He's
streets.
that Maeve now a lead, but before that, for hundreds and hundreds of years, Maeve is the
Hmm.
only version of love he has ever experienced.
Yep.
Which again, I think is why like I'm frustrated with him, but I also like I have such a weird feeling for Lorcan because he doesn't know any better. I
No,
think it's
he doesn't.
gross, but it's like he didn't even have time to be with a lead to know what that could actually be and feel
Hmm.
like for him. And I think if he'd had more time, that blood oath severing and all of those like icky moments of trying to crawl to Maeve and like I don't think we would have had those. But
Yeah.
they didn't have time. Nobody has had time.
Well, he does say to lead, I do not mind being around you.
Mm. Thanks, Lorcan. That's so
What a
sweet.
compliment.
Like Cassian trying to compliment Nesta or Feyre.
Yes,
I
yes.
like being in your presence. Yep. Thanks.
Well, that's all I have to say about Lorcan.
The only thing that I wanted to note in addition about him is like him and Fenris feeling this like tug on their souls
Mm,
from Aelin's power, which I find very interesting. And there's
yeah.
this quote: Lorcan's shredded dark soul tipped its head back and roared in unison to her power's burning song.
Mm,
And I just find this like not attraction, because like not physical attraction, but like this soul polling of these people to
yeah.
Aelin so interesting. I feel we're not at Fenris, but I'm just going to drop this here really quickly. I feel devastated for him that he is still stuck in that blood oath, and Maeve knows exactly what she's doing by ripping it away from Gavriel and Lorcan, but keeping
Mhm.
Fenris tied to it. And I just feel so badly for these people who like feel this pull to be with her and help Aelin and do better and do good, and they can't do anything about it, or they don't know any better in Lorcan's
Yeah.
case.
Well, shoot, let's skip to Fenris and Gavriel for a second. If we're already kind of there, we can come back to our Dark Queen. But for Fenris, I agree with you. He's so thankful to be able to see what it's like to serve someone who is good. You
Mm.
know, Aelin, yes, is morally gray, and but at the core of her, she is good
She's
in a way
good.
that Maeve has never nor will ever be.
Mm-hmm.
And Fenris knows he's still bound to her. And he says, you know, if she gives me that order to kill Aelin, kill me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just do it. End me. Um, and you know, he craves for Aelin to be free, and he literally begs Maeve, like, please just let her go.
Mm.
It's horrible. And Fenris never wanted to be bound to her in the first place. He did it
He
all
just
for
did
his
it for his
brother.
brother.
He sacrificed his freedom for his brother.
Yeah. Oh, and Maeve knows it. She knows
Yeah.
what she's doing.
Now, Gavriel. Gavriel is interesting because I feel like all of his moments in this book are powerful and purposeful since our first interaction with him. He's the only one who came to, like, who actually, like, stopped to think and help Aelin all the way in Air of Fire.
Mm.
Right? He's the first one of the cadre we meet to get those tattoos done by Rowan because he cares about the lives he takes.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, he's supposed to kill Lorcan. He doesn't kill him. He instead saves Elide. Puts a shield around his son, and offers to take Aelin's punishment from Maeve. It was like, whatever you were going to do to her, do it to me. I'll take it. But, you know, in making that type of sacrifice, he's that dishonorable discharge, so to speak. And we learn how painful that is when it's done with the dishonor.
Now he doesn't have to pick, I guess, between his son and
Yeah.
Maeve.
I wonder what the lasting impact of that is, of a blood oath
I feel like
that's
he'd probably feel
broken in
pretty
that way.
hollow, you know? I feel like
Yeah.
it's probably like a piece of your
It has to be
soul,
permanent, right?
unfortunately, that's ripped apart, whether you enjoyed it or not. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what I
I
was
would think
thinking.
the way they describe it, that it would be, you know, would be life altering. Do we know why Gavriel took the blood oath? Is that ever given to us yet or at all? I don't think we
Not
do.
that
I
I
just would be
know
so
of.
curious, like with his character, what pushed him
Yeah,
ultimately to join the ranks of the cadre, as Aelin likes to call them.
yeah. I'm not sure.
Be interested
But,
to know that.
excuse me. Speaking of Maeve, man, she's playing the long game. Like, really long. And
Thousands
she's
of years long.
Valg. She's Valg. You know, you're wondering this as you're reading, and then Brannon is like, "No, she's not." So you put that to side. Like, oh, okay. It makes the reveal extra powerful.
But then I'm like, she just appeared one day. Is she Valg? Or did she just
That.
step into their world? Because
That.
I don't think she's Valg. I just think she was there. That's my theory.
That's also my theory. I think her Stygian Karen Quee spiders think that she's Valg.
Yes, I agree. I think things think she's Valg and she's not.
The
She's
way
just
it's
stepped into a
worded,
rip in their world. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
like
I think
the
it's
the
worded very
kings had their
carefully.
heirs, and then there was, and then there appeared
Mm-hmm. And then came
from
a
the
woman.
where the what?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
She has a dark power that she can emit when, and she can just point her finger and like a whip it comes around Aelin. And she also has some kind of invisible hands because she's able to cut Gabriel on the arm on the beach. And she can see into the future.
She's got a lot of powers.
The
There's a lot
fuck?
happening. There's a lot
Like,
happening.
okay, so before I get into what she sees in Aelin's future, her powers and her face. What if she's Rhysand's sister? What if, what if? Here's a long theory. I'm like, sorry, I don't. What if Rhysand's sister was in love with Tamlin and he had to help fake her death so that she could leave and get away from her father? And he chopped somebody else's heads off and shape shifted them into the heads of mother and daughter and sent them in the box. And really, mom and daughter escaped through a portal of some kind. Maybe, I don't know, maybe that like little pond that he takes Feyre swimming in.
The pool of starlight.
The pool of starlight. And maybe mom ends up one place and daughter ends up the other place. And maybe Rhysand's sister ends up in a dark world. Because she's got very similar powers and similar creatures that she can shift into. And then she came and she was like, well, this isn't as nice as where I was. But I guess I can make it work. But I would really like to keep exploring. So I'm going to go back and become a Fae Queen somewhere else.
Mm.
And maybe she's just, she grew up like Rhysand, having to play a part. I don't know. This is all very theory, but I think it's a decent one.
Hey, I've seen theories swirl around about the sister, so maybe
Aye, aye, aye.
she's someone from somewhere.
Yeah, it definitely begs a lot of questions for sure. Okay, so what she sees in Aelin's future. She saw that Aelin would become the person who she needed to find that would lead her to the keys. She saw who Aelin's mate would inevitably be, Rowan, which is how she was able to go seek him out when he was born and go into his mind. Like centuries before Aelin was ever born, she was already playing this game. Changed Rowan's fate to convince him he had a different mate. Man. And then she knows that Aelin would have had 1,000 years with Rowan. So now we know Aelin is immortal and she would have reached the settling in 5 years.
Mm.
And yeah, she didn't know when Aelin would be born. And I think that is something interesting. Like she can see into the future, but she can't really tell when events are going to happen, just that they
Doesn't
are.
have the specifics, just the
Yes.
broad details.
Yes. So, and then we get her why. Why are you doing all of this? Why do you want all of this? Well, she can't let she can't let Aelin sacrifice herself to forge a lock. Because she wants them. She wants to use the keys. Like she had before. And yeah, so I guess if that makes you feel any better, she doesn't want Aelin to die.
Nope, she needs her to do something first.
So, you know.
Maybe she needs the keys to send herself back to Prithian.
Oh God.
I feel like she might be a little, I don't know, tainted now.
Yeah.
I don't know if we want her back in Prithian, unfortunately.
I know. And y'all, this is a theory. No, that was not written anywhere on the page. Okay. Headcanon. Okay, so we're kind of shifting over to Tower of Dawn now. Let's talk Chaol. You have many, many notes written about Chaol. I have not many notes written about Chaol.
They're just quotes.
Which you
They're
would
not.
think that given how much of his story I read, I would have written down more, but I didn't. Mindset shift. Okay. He could still speak with dignity and command, whether he stood on his feet or laid flat on his back. The chair was no prison, nothing that made him lesser. I'm so glad that we were able to come full circle, release ourselves of the self-hatred, and glad that he found his peace and his love. I love the two of them together. I'm so glad they're married.
I know. That
It's
was so
sweet.
sweet. I love when you get that description of like he's hugging her around the waist and looks down at their matching rings. I was like, oh, so cute.
I also just noted that he's fully healed, including the scars on his cheek from Selena.
Because he finally let all that go.
Yeah, and that does feel right for him not to have to bear that mark and reminder for the rest of his life.
Especially when Selena Aelin said, I'm over it. Right?
Yeah.
Like I forgive you. He just needed to forgive himself. Which I'm
Mm-hmm.
so thankful. And I wondered when we were gonna get that like full circle moment, because even though he breaks through the demon within him and can walk finally before all the events after that,
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't until they're on the ship when he sees the note in Aelin's handwriting that
Yep.
he finally I think has come to terms with the fact that, well, yes, Aelin may be morally gray, at her core she is good. What she
Yeah.
does is good. She saw this woman, all of the events led to him finding his person. Like, because even at the beginning of this section of Tower of Dawn, I had written a bunch of stuff that I got rid of ultimately because I was like, bro, why can't you be okay with Aelin? You can be okay with your brother Dorian. You can be okay with anybody else, but you can't be okay with her. And ultimately, though, too, I think it was him not being okay with himself
Yep.
and like associating those pieces of himself with Aelin. And finally, Yrene, and knowing what Aelin did for Yrene with nothing for herself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Aelin would have no idea that Yrene would actually make it to the Tory Chesme. She would actually do what she set off to do, but she still said, here's money, go and do it if you so choose.
Yeah.
And that was finally for him that moment of like, oh, okay, yeah. Aelin's cool. Like,
Yeah, that's great.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for getting
Yeah.
there.
Well, speaking of Yrene, I find it pretty incredible that she is essentially the key to this entire thing. Um, she's Silba's heir.
That's cool.
So fucking cool. Um, and we get that reveal because I think it's from Duva when she's got the Valg inside of her. That, hey, didn't you think it was weird? You made it through all that schooling that fast, and we just think, yeah, Irene's super fucking cool and smart. Except, well, it is a little bit more than that. She's significantly more gifted than the others because she is the direct heir of Silba. Yeah, we got Silba's heir, we got Mala's heir. We're just
Got a lot of god and goddess heirs.
Yeah, look at that. Um, for her and Chaol, he kisses her. It was like waking up, being born, or falling out of the sky. It was an answer and a song, and she could not think or feel fast enough. Yes, so sweet.
Lady Westfall.
Yeah. Oh, yes. I wanted to heal you, she says to him. And he says, you did, in every way that matters. I can imagine how frustrating that would have been to be like, you can run and jump and walk, and now you're broken again.
I did all of that work.
Damn it. Yes. Um, our future empress over here,
Mm.
Miss Nesryn,
Nesryn.
learned how to strike her bow and arrow from the top of a Rukin, with the wind on her. Like, let's just take a second to visualize that. That's so epic.
Yeah.
She tried to be his shadow, but every time she did, he would nudge her forward next to him. This is her and Sartaq. Like, he wants her as an equal up next to her. And something in her, she says, has settled. Like, she's right at home where she's meant to be. Excuse me. Okay. She says she could not picture that life from before, back in Otterlin. She did not want to go back to it. Which she is going back, but for a different purpose. And she sings
She
for
won't
her.
stay.
Yeah, I hope not. She sings for her newfound family, a gift and an offering that leaves them all struck. But Sartaq looks at her and can't look away. I think like that maybe that was the moment he fell in love with her. Like, you're amazing. But yeah, I love with them. I love with them. I love with them. My last little moment is when Chaol finally gets to. He's literally broken on the ground, and he's like, Yrene is tying her life force to him, and he's like, "I'm so sorry," and she's like, I think I did just fine." That's all she says to him. I'm like, fair.
I do appreciate later, though, when they get some time to chat when he's no longer dying.
Yeah.
And she says to him, "Thank you for bringing me here to all of this."
Yeah.
He promised her an adventure. And while it might not have been an adventure together, it was an adventure. Because this bitch also, guys, has her own Rook. She has her own, which I loved so much right there at the end.
Yes.
I knew it was coming. I was like, this bitch has to have her own, right? She has to.
Yeah, you called it. Absolutely.
But now, before we move into her other half, if you will, Sartaq, I have to read this line because I mean, I didn't have maybe enough time to really fall in love with Sartaq. You know, it's pretty quick. I mean, a long book, but I loved you before I ever set eyes on you. She looks at him, she's pleased, she's weeping. Sartaq's hand tightened on hers. I wish we'd had time. And behind him, this rising bulk of shining black, and then the prince was gone, ripped from her hands as if he had never been. She finally had somebody, even if for 3 seconds of telling her about it, she finally had somebody who chose her. She wasn't second place. She wasn't the consolation prize. He loved her. And then for him to just be ripped from her, granted, he comes back and all is right and whatever.
In that moment.
But
you don't know that when you're reading it.
No, you don't. And you have no idea, even when she concocts this plan, that he's going to be alive, that he's going to be okay. Like, that was so sweet. I wish we'd had time. It gives me Cassian and Nesta, Feyre and Rhys. Like, I wish we'd had time. Yes. Thank God he doesn't die.
Thank goodness.
I hope we get more time.
Well, you're right. We didn't get a ton of time to fall in love with him, but we do get enough moments to be able to cheer for them. And one of them that I really enjoyed was that he did every chore without complaint, because he said no one was above work, which is a very different mindset from some of his siblings. So I did enjoy that. And then we found out that Kaja, Chaol's servant while he's staying there, was working for whom? Sartaq. He's like, hey, so listen, Neith's arrow is coming, and I'm going to need you to watch her because I think she's kind of cool.
I want to know more about this lady.
Those were my main notes about Sartaq.
Yeah, not a lot to add. But again, I feel like Sartaq is almost like a redeeming character for me in Tower of Dawn because we don't have a ton of time with him. Not redeeming like he's bad or something, but just for the book as a whole,
Oh, yeah.
because of all of these moments with him, I felt like were just so visual that were really
Mm-hmm.
cool. Like I'm thinking even, as horrible as it was, him screaming at Kadara to fly, to get up, fly, that just gutted me. Like you can
Mm-hmm.
feel his character's love for Kadara, for his people, for Nesryn. Like I was so glad he didn't die, clearly, and that she didn't die, Kadara, but like I just you didn't know it was coming and you wanted to keep going. Like Chaol and Yrene, like I mentioned at the beginning, it was sweet and you wanted to read their love story. But I think Sartaq and Nesryn are what kept me wanting to come back and go to the next chapter, know what was happening. And you could see that he was the one that was kind of moving towards allying with them. And I
Mm-hmm.
just wanted their story to keep going. I
Yeah,
really, really loved Sartaq in this book.
I agree. Well, oh, sorry. I feel like the other siblings had their moments too. Hussar, she's a character for sure. And um, as much as I kind of just wanted to punch her for most of the book, she somehow managed to make me like her by the end.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I love this quote. Because for my sisters, both living and dead, I will march my Sulde to the gates of Marath and make that demon bastard pay. And I just hope for her
Mm.
and Aelin to meet. I really do
Yeah.
hope for that moment. Like Hussar, I really was struggling with. I was so glad she came around. I was so
Hmm.
happy to see that. And like that moment at the end when the Empress rushes into Duva and then finally Hussar drops to her knees to embrace her sister and the Empress is kissing them both on the head, her
Yeah.
daughters that are left. Like it just she's such a hard character. She's got a hard exterior
Hmm.
because she also has to. She's the oldest of the Coggins children.
Yeah. Well, and there's so many moments where I have hope for the future of this empire because Hussar even says she's like never Duva, as
Mm-hmm.
in I would never hurt her children. Like as a ruler, if it was me, I would never kill Duva. I would never kill her children.
Mm-hmm.
And and Caution felt that way for Tumaloon.
Mm-hmm.
And they it's interesting reading how they're all trying to create an even better world. And Chaol thinks, well, this is the best I've ever seen. But we know
Mm-hmm.
there's this one little element that we could improve upon for sure. And it looks like they're going to want to do it. They're going to want to
Mm-hmm.
be the generation that does better, that doesn't have to kill off all their siblings. So I was glad to see that. Argon, I'm still not a big fan. Um,
Yeah, I
still
could do away
still
with
an
him.
asshole. Okay. There's always
I'm
the
good
one.
without him.
But Duva, man, okay, well, no wonder she's missing for the entire freaking book. um, I wish I would have picked up on that on my first read. I don't know if you did. I did not. I was a
I just
hundred
didn't think
percent
she mattered.
surprised. Yeah, exactly. You don't think she
Like
matters. You're like,
she
okay,
just
she's off
doesn't have a
having a baby.
role.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's just a
which
side
makes her the perfect
character.
person. It makes her the perfect
Exactly.
person.
Exactly. It definitely makes sense. And rereading it, I'm like, yeah, she doesn't go to those places. But that pregnancy, man, that was a good mask because you don't
Mm-hmm.
take a second glance. You're like, well, yeah, she can't come to the Oasis. Bitch is busy making a
Oh yeah, when
baby.
her and Arghun didn't come to the Oasis, I would have assumed it was him. Like
Yeah,
if we were gonna like pick up on something, I would not have guessed Duva.
no. Well, let's just take a second to visualize this Valg impregnated pregnant person
Mm.
running around Antica,
And being
running up the steps of the Torre, chasing people down hallways.
she's got to be exhausted.
Well, even the Valg's like, this body does not like running.
Yeah, that's what
I
a Valg
bet.
would say in my body. I'd be like, this body just
Same.
wants to read. This was not what I needed for war.
This is not it. I'm like, well, yeah.
Pick the wrong one.
It was supposed to be for Hussar. They intended that
Mm-hmm.
ring to go on Hussar's finger, which would have been something, you know?
Uh-huh. Yes, it would have.
Woo!
Yes,
Well,
it would have.
that's those are all my characters. I didn't write down anything for caution except, him and Yrene make amends and he's like, I'm glad we can
Yeah.
be friends again. And that's sweet. He's sweet.
I was glad that that happened. That was a good closing of their story together.
Yes. I agree.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Normally we would kind of maybe touch on like Aaron Duke Barrington, but he was
You really,
not
really see them.
really a part of this book. Not at
Mm-mm.
least the second half. He was pretty much a side character. He's
Yeah.
off doing his thing. So
Yeah.
we'll see him soon, I'm sure.
Well, questions. Okay. So this isn't necessarily a question, and I guess I wrote this down as I was receiving it during my reading and then remembered that we kind of got our answer. So Gabrielle and Fenris are like, Aelin and Manon's fates are intertwined. Like, there's something happening here. And then we learn about the
Mm.
mirror, and we're like, oh, it was made with their errors, and so they have to be together. Um, so I thought that was cool. The spiders say that Erewhon loved his brother very much, making me wonder if the Valg are capable of love. Are they innately bad? Love is a positive, love is a good. So can they be all bad? Something to think about, you know?
Manon isn't all bad.
Yep. Yep. Dorian's not even sure what he is. He's like, am I? What am I?
He's morally gray, our favorite
Yeah.
kind.
Those were most of my questions, along with where did Maeve come from? But yeah.
We will ask ourselves that
To the
eternally.
dawn of time.
I was listening to our Air of Fire episode because, of course, we're a couple ahead versus what we're putting out. And we said in there that the Kraken witches have been hiding in plain sight as healers. So then I wondered, is Yrene a Kraken witch? They are
Interesting.
only females other than that one prince. Her family never married. They just procreated, which feels very similar to the witches.
Hmm.
And I know that we then learn that she's a direct descendant of Silba, but I was still wondering if there was witch in there too, potentially, or what Silba's like lineage, with it
Hmm.
being. I wondered maybe if there's witch in there potentially.
Yeah.
Just was giving that vibe. So not that it really matters, but I was curious if maybe there's some witch in that familial lineage. Um, Thinking back to other books, the thing in the prison that shows Nesta a world where she could be queen alongside him,
Hmm.
he's like blonde and covered in blackness. That's a Valg prince, right? That's totally got to be a Valg. I feel like that's what that was giving.
I think that is a current running theory that Lanthus could be a Volg,
Lanthus.
but Lanthus is also he says he's a god. So the question is Lanthus a god like the gods in this world say they're gods? Or is Lanthus Volg? It's a great question, and we don't know yet.
So that leads into my next one. These things that the Lock/Eye of Elena was meant to send home along with the Valg, these quote unquote gods and goddesses. What are they? Where are they from? That's,
Yes,
I think,
that
a
I
perfect
cannot
segue
answer
between
for
those.
you.
I don't expect you to answer any of these, so you are good.
Great. You might get a
Unless it's
little bit
something I
of an
totally
answer.
missed.
No, you might kind of get an answer to that.
I didn't expect to, but it's just something I expect will be maybe a question for others.
Yes.
I have a theory that maybe that owl at Maeve's side is actually Anthro.
Hmm.
Perhaps she trapped him in that form to punish him or something potentially. I want to know what this owl at her side is. So that's
I thought it was just
my
a
current
healer
theory.
to keep her protected from the Volg.
But the owl is also his sigil. So then I was like, maybe there's something there.
Hmm. Okay.
In this last one, I was thinking about the Adder and Akatar and the Valg
Mhm.
demons in their true form, like that female one with inside
Mhm.
Duva. And I was curious, could the Adder be those Valg, just not in a host body? Perhaps in Prithian, they don't need to be within a host.
Mm.
And just that description of what was inside Duva felt very reminiscent of the Adder for me, or very similar, maybe along the same vein. So I was trying to, connect dots potentially to what may be
Yeah.
across our worlds.
Awesome.
So
Well, should we rate these books?
you got it. Dive in.
Woo! Okay, so rating system review. 5 point crown, a royal masterpiece fit for a king or queen. 4 point crowns, almost perfect with a few minor kingdoms to conquer. 3 point crowns, a solid tale worthy of noble consideration. 2 point crown, a decent story but could use more courtly intrigue. And 1 point, a story that missed the mark and needs some royal polish. Now, I separated this into two because I'm going to do them individually. All right, Tower of Dawn. Beautiful story all on its own. Does have a good amount of action built throughout. If I take away the aspect that, I leave one book to come to the other, separate the tandem read out of this, I really do love the characters I got to meet. I wanted more. And I think that separating the tandem read from it actually increases its rating for me. It felt like a 4 for me as I was reading it. I would like to give it a 4.5. That's my Tower of Dawn. What's your Tower of
Yeah,
Dawn?
same. I don't think I need to add anything to that. I think I gave it a 4.5 purely to like ease the masses because I didn't want people to be like, you didn't like it. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. But regardless of reading it as a tandem read, like as a tandem read, I thought of it as a 4. And then really removing myself from that, thinking about like, okay, if I'd read this in publication order, I still think it would have been a 4. Like I still would
Yeah.
have been wanting those other characters. And
Mm.
I actually I think for me the tandem read saved it and made it that half point
Mm.
higher because it was as if it was one book. That I
Yeah.
was what we've been doing for 5 books of popping back and forth between these characters, where if I had read them separately, it definitely would have been lower for me. It would have been a 4.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the tandem read saved it for me. So I give it a 4.5 as well.
Awesome. Well, Empire of Storms, stunning book. Full of epic
Mhm.
plot points, character development, and deepening of worlds we already felt like we knew. And you get some much needed answers to long awaited questions, and yet you're still left wanting to read more. I call it tragically beautiful, and I loved every point of view that I got to have.
Mhm.
So, for that reason, I do give it a 5.
A devastatingly beautiful 5.
Yeah, it's gorge. Love it. I'm so excited for the next book.
Well, guess what? We don't have to wait. It's on the shelf. It's time to go.
Yay! Well, before we dive into Kingdom of Ash, let's take a second to talk about our heroines. So, this week I wanted to focus on perspective and how we can use it to craft a beautiful and meaningful life. For both Empire of Storms and Tower of Dawn, we have a plethora of heroines who can showcase unique perspectives on how they view and approach situations that they're in. And I'm going to focus on Aelin and Yrene. Aelin knows her life is ending and that all the joy she had is slipping through her fingers like the grains of sand that she kneels in. Yet she takes the time to shift her perspective to one of gratitude. Now, listen, I'm not saying we each need to take every shitty moment in our lives and find the silver lining because, frankly, sometimes things just plain suck. However, there is beauty in this passage that I think we all can learn from. Quote, time. She was grateful Elena had given her that stolen time, that she had met them all, that she had heard such lovely music and danced and laughed and known true friendship. Grateful that she had found Rowan. She was grateful. So Aelin dried her tears and did not fight. She is sacrificing everything for the ones that she loves. And because she had truly lived, she's able to face what came next head on. How often do we find ourselves caught up in the daily grind of our lives and forget to stop and be in the wonder and awe of the beauty around us? To look in our child's eyes and to just pause, to hear the birds sing and to just listen, to spend so long preparing for tomorrow that we forget to live in today. Now, Yrene gives us a different but equally important pondering. Everyone around her is searching for a way to fight with force and blade, but she understands something important about what has value in a war. It lies within more than just steel, but in what we know. Quote, books that would contain a far more valuable weapon than swords and arrows. Knowledge. For it is knowledge that equips us with the means to fight our battles smarter, to make better choices, to not fall prey to the deceptions of others. Sometimes the greatest weapon in a room is sitting on a shelf. And it's this perspective that Yrene knows all too well. Curiosity, questioning, and wisdom can be a force that changes history and allows you to see your present situations much more clearly. And together, these perspectives allow for us to lead a more meaningful life, one that is measured by who we choose to surround ourselves with, who we laugh until we cry with, and books and knowledge that give you the power to think for yourself. Life will always bring difficult seasons, but when you've created a journey full of beauty based on how you choose to see the world, no one can ever take those moments away from you.
Now, I would not call this person, somebody maybe we should learn from, but I'm going to bring a quote forward that's about Hussar. Hussar, while dressed, would never be called such, but she accepted the compliment with that cat smile and somehow reminded Yrene of that stranger in Inish, that knowledge that beauty was fleeting, yet power was a far more valuable currency. And I really love this line because it made me stop and think about what we choose to invest in. Hussar is beautiful in this moment. Yrene notices it immediately, but that's not what commands the room. It's not what makes people listen when she speaks or hesitate before crossing her. It's her mind, her confidence, the knowledge that she spent years building so that no one can take it away from her. And I don't think Sarah J. Maas, Sarah, if you will, is saying beauty isn't valuable. Half these characters are described as the most attractive people to ever exist. But I think she's saying that beauty isn't just the most valuable thing you can have. Because eventually trends change, we get older, life happens, but no one can take away your education. No one can take away your experiences. No one can take away the person that you've spent years becoming. It could be the degree you worked for. It could be learning a trade, becoming really good at your job, reading more books, learning from your failures, simply becoming wiser because you've lived through hard experiences. Those are the investments that are going to keep paying you back. And I just thought that was like a really refreshing reminder. There's nothing wrong with enjoying fashion or makeup or wanting to look your best. I certainly do. We are former beauty queens, if you will. But I do hope that when people describe me, they don't stop there. I hope they talk about my kindness, my work ethic, my curiosity, my resilience, the way I made them feel. Because beauty might catch someone's attention, but who you are beneath it is what people remember.
Absolutely. I know you want to keep going. I know you want to turn the page, but we got to close the book on this one.
But hey, every epic needs a cliffhanger, right? So I guess we can savor the suspense.
Remember to like, share, subscribe, and write a review.
And before you remove your bookmark to prepare for next week, we will be diving into Kingdom of Ash, Part 1. We're going to do Prince, which is like the epilogue, prologue, whatever that's called, through 67. And remember, guys, this is our final Throne of Glass book, Kingdom of Ash. It's time. We're wrapping her up, guys. We're going to do her in 2 parts, though, so you don't have to take that thick book in one go.
Remember that whether you're conquering your own kingdom or just cozying up with a good book, you are the main character of your own epic tale.
Okay, queens, for real now, you have to put the book down. Hold your crown high, and we will catch you on the next